talking. I wasn't even talking the whole time. Why does it always change? I was trying to set up and do stuff. Wait, hold on. So, man, my music. I want to have spooky playlist for today because we're gonna be reading some scary stories. But all right, here's the truth, cold hard truth. My dog was annoying yesterday. I couldn't sleep. I did nothing. Well, I did prep a lot for today, but all the details kind of still escape me. I still wish I could have done a lot more, but I didn't. So we are gonna have a pretty scuffed Halloween thing today. But fear not, it will be fun. Also, there has been a bit of a change when it comes to what we will be doing today as well. Just as my dog annoyed the heck out of me last night and life happened and I couldn't get everything that I needed to get done on time. Life happens for everyone else. So unfortunately today we will not be having the Guillermo del Toro discussion today. And I think if you're watching this on YouTube, there is I think the thing says like the psychology of fear also might not be happening as much as I wish or as in depth and detail as I wish we could have it because I am not an expert in horror. I barely started getting into it probably this year, like earlier this year. Although I have done a few. Wait, the music is so loud. I thought I have done a few like panels and stuff with other experts who talk about horror and whatnot, and they tell me that there's like like the horror genre is like very diverse, and I happen to like psychological horror more often. In general, I am really afraid of ghosts. I do not like ghost stories. I grew up. Well, okay, hold on. Let me backtrack. I am afraid of ghosts. I do not like watching scary movies because movies have more of an immersion. It's the sound, is the vibe, is the acting, the visuals, and that is a lot scarier to me. But I love scary stories as long as they're in the morning and not at night. And luckily for me, I am gonna hang out with my annoying doggo night as well, so it all works out. Hold on, let me see if I can get some spooky vibes. No, that's not what I wanted to. It's spooky. It's non-copyrighted music because otherwise our video is gonna be taken down. Wow, there's a spooky lo-fi. Okay, well. See, there's this other one that is 5 hours of spooky video game music, and I was like, "Ooh, that sounds promising." But also, it's probably copyright. Okay, we're gonna come. Wait. I don't think you guys can hear that yet. Okay, wait. Let me stop this music and start the spooky one. Ooh. Can you guys hear that? Is it too soft? Yay! Hello, hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. We are just getting started. Um, like I said earlier, we have a bit of a change. Can you hear it now? Or now? I don't know. Well, I got speak vibes. You can have your own speaky vibe if you are. No. Um. Let's see if I can. Okay. So, whoa, wait, no. I'm gonna see. I'm not a little too loud. Change it up a little. Okay. I know. Switch it. Switch it where. No! I know I don't want it. I am. Why is text so difficult? Technology is so frustrating. Why does it make it hard for me? Because if I change the mic, you're gonna hear my brother cooking in the kitchen. So I don't want to do that. Mm, but I want to be able to have it. You see, like the QR code. That's no, that QR code. I want it to be like right there, like just the little thing on the side. Mm.
Dinner party for 7, one oven? Easy. And that walking tour? Planned. With no backtracking and the best burger.
No!
Anything else I can help you with?
Yes.
Wait, I haven't made
Can you
created
go through
there.
these tabs and
I was like, I created a new layout. How did you do this to me? Okay, we should be good to go. Music shouldn't be too loud. We should have the vibe. Now let me open up my what we're doing today. Oh, actually, not bad. We took half an hour. Not bad, not bad. All right, today we're starting with scary stories. We will be introducing one of our new investors, introducing a little bit as well later on today. Then we're going to be doing a tier list of monsters. I think there's actually three different tier lists. One is top 10 serial killers in movies, classic monsters, and legends. Some of them I don't actually know. I have to go through. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I was going to carry the platypus today, but it's not cold enough for me to wear one. So we have 10. We have 10 different stories that I can go ahead and read. Um, there you go. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, okay. I will give you guys a choice. Would you like to hear a scary story from China, France, Mongolia, Brazil, Nigeria, the UK, Japan, Kenya, Hungary, or Thailand? Thailand. I googled like the most. Wait, let me. Okay. Ugh, not like. I need to post on social media that we are going live, so hopefully post me doing that. Picture. And you know, on Twitch, I keep getting this. Um, this thing. Oh, I have to go into. What is the freaking not chat? Oh, creator dashboard. There you go. Stream manager. Again, technology ain't my friend, you guys. I'm to delete this. All right, cool. We are back. France. Okay, we are doing our first story is from France, and oh no. It's about a saint. No, 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 no. Oh, okay. I spoiled the whole thing for myself, but
A business tip I'd wish I'd known that LegalZoom can help you launch an
no,
LLC and stay on top of your business.
this is gonna take us out. No, so he is a saint, and unfortunately, everything that is popping up is all about like it's just like his sainthood, kind of. I wanted to actually read a story. Every single man, you guys. Oh yeah, no, the chat is not. Um, yeah, it's not on screen. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to make that happen. So the idea is to have my brother figure out Twitch. Why don't I make up a story? I don't know if I don't know if I'm not a wordsmith, man. I wish I could. I am doing a scary thing. Nobody has like just even a paragraph of this like dude. Okay, here's the thing. Let me just tell you. He was decapitated like back in like the 13th century or something like that, and then apparently his body like bent down and picked up his head. That's the scary part. Now, oh, wait a minute. I think I found something. No, this is a video game. It's not so sad now. Why? I was so excited. I was like, yes, this is it. This is it. It is not. Is Red Dead Redemption 2. That's what I was gonna read. No! And the other one is also the same. Ugh. No. It's lame, you guys. No, I do not have the book. So originally I started by, well, this is kind of like my first time that I'm trying to do like more scary things. So I don't have anything that's like scary. I have legends, like a book of actually several, but they're myths. They're not like scary legends. All right. Well, oh, okay, wait. This one has. Yes, haha, this is good. Okay, China for the win, actually.
Ali, I love your hair.
I mean, it's easy to spot me in the
Really
report, I
just
bet.
getting split.
But you've always been like that. See me?
Yeah.
Before you hear me. All done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to learn
That's so
about like
fast.
spooky stories from like other
I love you.
places. I can't skip. Okay. So this one is actually um this is the mystery in Western Land. And my apologies. I hope I pronouncing this correctly. Am I not? Okay, here it is. Dun-dun-dun. Oh no, there's a bunch of Chinese words in here. Okay. The Mystery of Western Hunan, Walking Corpse. A supposed source of the Jiangxi stories came from the folk practice of transporting a corpse over 1,000 li, where the traveling companions or family members who would not afford wagons or had very little money would hire Taoist priests to transport corpses who die far away from home by teaching them to hop on their feet back to their hometown for proper burial. The priests would transport the corpses only at night and ring bells to notify the other pedestrians of their presence because it was considered bad luck for a living person to die on a beach. This practice, Xiang, Xiangqi, was popular in Xiang, being totally mispronouncing, where many where many people left their hometown to work elsewhere. After they died, their, their corpses were transported back to their real hometown using long bamboo roots, believing they would be homesick if buried somewhere unfamiliar. When the bamboo floats up and down, the corpses appear to be hopping in unison once asleep. Okay. Two oral accounts of transporting corpses are included in Lao Yu's The Corpse Walker. And the account describes how corpses would be transported by a two-man team. One would carry the corpse on his back with a large rope covering both and a mourning mat on top. The other man will walk ahead with a lantern and warn his companions about obstacles ahead of them. The lantern was used as a visual guide for the corpse carrier to follow things they could not see, with the rope covering them. It is speculated in the accounts include that the corpses would be carried at night to avoid contact with people, and the cooler air would be more suitable for transporting bodies. Some people speculate that the stories about Jiangsu were originally made up by smugglers who disguised their illegal activities as corpse transportation and wanted to scare off law enforcement officers. In China, as early as the late Paleolithic, about 10,000 years ago, there has been sprouted a rest in eternal peace concept. Up until today, burial is still the most common funeral approach. However, for die abroad pioneers, fallen leaves make. However, in Hunan, legends have a special way to portray such. This is the vampire. Wait, is this how vampires were started? Wait. This is to Google walking corpses of vampire. Uh, no, the concept started in 1970. For a Chinese person, especially one of the traditional casting line, being buried away from hometown or village would be a terrible thing. Away from the family, it will be impossible for younger family members to show respect, provide spirit food, and bring and bear money for their afterlife. During the seventh month, when hungry ghosts appear, if he came alive or actually be helpful, apparently it would work. If the creature came alive, he would be an ADHD gremlin, so we could probably hang out. And I would make so many memes and TikTok videos, and we will have we will never need anything. During the seventh month, when hungry ghosts appear from their families return to the earth to seek spiritual sustenance and perhaps living blood, then what would become of them? They might be subject to manipulations of a truly Taoist priest clad in yellow robes and armed with inscribed scriptures with which to control the ghost. So there had to be developed a way to return the corpses to their home village and this origin of the corpse walkers. Two men will act as a team and would take in turns to mount the corpses on their backs and walk across the countryside back to the home village of the deceased. The degree of strength and fitness required for such a job can only be imagined, not to mention the mental fortitude and will ability of the job with day after day of heavy sweaty work. That's the scary part. Having to do manual labor.
Incoming dishes!
Dawn Power Wash flies through 99% of grease in half the time.
Oh,
The better
jeez.
grease getter.
These are okay. So, inevitably
Better when
many
you
me-
do better.
my commercial.
You do better when I do better.
Inevitably, many myths and legends drew up around the work of corpse walkers. Um, some people believed that they were able to bring the corpse back to some kind of life or on life and cause it to walk along under its own power. Others thought that they kept the corpse joints limber somehow and actually walked it with their legs tied together, like wearing a kind of astronaut suit. Some people prefer to stay away from them altogether since their association with death made them silly and popular, and possibly the resistance of some kind of supernatural power. Corpse walking was essentially antithetical to communism, and so after the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949, the livelihoods of the ghost walkers became threatened, and in some cases, so too were their lives. Under communism, family attachments are stripped away and geography should not matter. Indeed, attachment to the dead itself might be considered a bourgeoisie. Decadence. I never know how to learn boy or whatever. Especially among the weak and the poor. And so the practice disappeared. Might it ever reappear now that money is available to stimulate people to meet demand for consumer goods and services? Well, not exactly what I was looking for, but pretty interesting. I mean, this is what I was looking for, but I wanted to see like first um nah, man, we need to fundraise money to go to China and ask people so they can give us this scary stories. Anyway, next. The next one is from Mongolia. It's cryptic. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, what the heck? What? Man, Reddit for the win, man. No, not for the win. Now everyone's like, man, okay, not ready for the win. We should not give Reddit credit for any of this. Okay, okay. Well, all right, cool. Again, I think it's just gonna become more of like a history thing, you guys, than like a scary thing. So interesting though. I mean, these are sort of like legends, and they're not necessarily meant to be like super scary or whatever, you know? Okay, what is the Mongolian death worm? The malevolent Mongolian worm, known in the local language as Olgoi Korkoi, which translates as large intestine worm. That's not very scary. Well, but then I'm like, ooh, shouldn't you name it something like scary, like, yeah, the chupacabras? But then I was like, but we also have El Cucuy, and that's kind of cute, isn't it? Anyway. Okay, it translates to large intestine worm on account of its size and color. It's described as a thick, blood red segment worm measuring anywhere between 16 centimeters to 1.8 meters, about 2 to 6 feet long. Some accounts say the worm is a white, gray, and smooth, only turning red when it's angry. Others say it's brown and scaly. Most versions of the story seem to suggest it's most active after heavy rain. The terrifying Gobi Desert killer worm is often reported to be armed with terrifying pair of spike-like projections on its end, as well as 2 or even 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth. Local folklore paints it as a fearsome predator, spitting corrosive venom that instantly kill a human or animal, and even destroy from a distance with a powerful electric shock. This is a powerful cryptid, you guys. Okay, such death worm stories remain a closely guarded legend in Mongolia until they captured Western attention in the early 20th century, largely thanks to the writings of American paleontologist and explorer Roy Chapman Andrews. In his 1926 book On the Trail of Ancient Men, he retold secondhand stories of the legendary Mongolian death worm he had heard from officials in the country. However, he wrote, none of these present ever had seen the creature, but they all firmly believed in its existence and described it minutely. Wait a minute. Okay, so in Mexico we have like the chupacabra. I don't actually know what it looks like. I don't think I've ever heard like a description of what it's supposed to be. Also, I know what La Llorona is supposed to be, just a woman like dressed in a wedding dress or dressed in white, and usually seen in like canals or rivers or whatever. But also for like the kukui or like the boogeyman or whatever, I I don't think I've ever heard a description of it either. This is how my anxiety got started, you guys. My anxiety got started because we would hear stories that were so vague. My overactive imagination brain, like, made these stories, and now I'm anxious. So yeah, the chupacabra eats goats and the young cows. That I know. I know, like it sucks the blood or whatever. But what does it look like? Other than having red eyes, I just assume that. I don't know. I've never heard people say that. Well, anyway, Mongolia one ups Mexico in this. They believe in it, and they have a they're able to describe it very well. The chupacabra kind of looks like the devil, but there's so many renditions of the devil though. Like some people say he kind of looks like a dog. Sometimes he has like wings and a tail and horns and like cow feet or whatever, like hooves. Some people, well, at least in my small little town, sometimes they will say that he was just dressed as like in a suit, like, or a chicken, a black dog or a chicken. There's so many ways that people describe the devil, so I don't even know, man. So this person, what is it, Roy Chapman? He included in his book a description of the death worm from a former Mongolian prime minister who thought to have said it's shaped like a sausage, about 2 feet long, has no head nor leg, and it's so poisonous that the merely to touch it means instant death. It lives in the most desolate parts of the Gobi Desert. Andrew's accounts and subsequent retellings in the books, newspapers, and documentaries brought the Mongolian death worm into the global imagination. From the middle of the 20th century, adventurers, cryptozoologists, and thrill seekers alike have attempted to track it down. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Czech cryptozoologist Ivan Makover, to do a name, organized multiple expeditions to Mongolia in search of the Gobi Desert killer worm, interviewing local witnesses and trekking across the remote desert regions. He developed various experimental methods, including vibration generation devices inspired by Frank Herbert Zech's novel Doom, and even small explosive devices in which they attempt to lure the worm from the nest. Okay, wait. Where was I? Man. Okay. Post 1990s expedition. Following the change in Mongolia's government in the 1990s, others went on to the search for the Olgoi. In 2005, members of the UK-based Center for 14 Zoology, or CFZ, led the zoologists led by zoologist Richard Freeman, ventured into the Gobi into their own quest to find the Mongolian worm. Much like Macaulay, Freeman interviewed eyewitnesses, investigated alleged sightings, and explored remote areas where locals claimed to have encountered the creature. But they also emerged empty-handed. His interview captured media attention, reinforcing the Mongolian deathworm status as a feminine cryptid in Western circles. In 2009, another of the expeditions was uh, by New Zealand entertainment reporter David Ferrier, who, like the rest, didn't find evidence of the enigmatic Mongolian sampling. Several theories suggest the Mongolian worm may actually be a misidentified snake or desert human reptile. It's postulated that the deathworm could be a limbless underground reptile known as a worm lizard, and it could be a venomous snake. In 1983, a Tartar sand boa, a species of non-venomous snake endemic to the region, was shown to locals who claim to have seen a 2D photo and possibly identified it as the same animal. But it was by no means the end of the theory, and ended despite much explanation. Many of the theories persist. One such idea posits that the worm is in fact a surviving species of dinosaur, which had adapted to the harsh Gobi desert environment over millions of years. Still others theorize, still other theories speculate it could be a creature from another world. Dun, dun, dun. Despite the wealth of stories and alleged sightings, hard evidence of the Mongolian deathworm existence is tantalizingly out of reach. No verifiable specimens have ever been reported, nor have their image been confirmed photographs. Nevertheless, the possibility of an undiscovered creature lurking in the Gobi would ignore clues that continue to captivate. Most argue the worm is nothing more than a fantastic construct of nomadic folklore, or common desert snakes simply trying to mind its own business. Yet to this day, many remain convinced that lurking beneath the shifting sands lies the deadly enigma, a creature both mysterious and lethal, poised beyond the reach of science, waiting silently for its moment. I read like just briefly when I was trying to read one of the Reddit stories. It says, um, um, somebody said that it was probably just kind of like a thing that parents told their kids as a reason to not to like go too far away and they're like be careful when they're out there. Uh, yeah. Okay, so the next scary story that we have is from Brazil. I don't like these websites have a billion things. Okay, so I found the. I think this is the website where I got like most of the myths, or at least the names of it and stuff. So this is Yeah, this is a website. Okay, I'm just gonna read this. So this is the legend of Saint Denis. One of France's oldest spooky legends is thought to be one of its most gruesome. Yes, it involves a walking corpse. Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm going to what is this? Hmm. I'm nah. Wait. Yes. Oh wait. This is not another. Wait, I just discovered something, you guys. Wait. Ooh, that's what I wanted for a long time. Nah. Wait, I'm gonna set the vibe. So I'm gonna put the thing on like a break sort of thing. But I'll be right back. The light is like hitting my face. Hold on. Be right back. I'm taking a small break. This definitely is setting the vibes now. Oh, I should have put stop. Okay, I am ready. As I'll ever be. Here is the legend of Saint Denis. Or Saint Denis. Whatever, however you say it in French. Said to have been Paris' first bishop, Denis, later Saint Denis, went on to lend his name to what is now the northern Paris suburbs of Saint Denis, famous for its magnificent basilica, soccer stadium, and the Olympic Village that housed athletes during the Paris Games. The 3rd century Roman rulers of what was the Gaul were apparently less than thrilled that Denis and companions, Ristic and French word, were making converts. Even after tossing them in prison, Dennis continued to celebrate Mass. In some accounts, Dennis suffered all manners of unspeakable tortures to make him renounce his faith, not just run of the mill flagellation, but also mauling by wild beasts and being locked in a scorching kiln. Eventually, the two were sentenced to death and beheaded. Legend has it that Denis's corpse, lifted by two angels, picked up his severed head and walked from Mount of Martyrs, the supposed execution site now called Montmartre, for about 6 kilometers, about 4 miles, before collapsing in the village of Catulucum, now the town of Saint Denis. In Montmartre today, Suzanne Buisson Square has the statue of Saint Denis holding his head, which he is said to have washed in the waters of a fountain there before staggering away with it. Alrighty. Hey, listen, would you pick up your head and walk away? Or would you just be like, ain't worth it? Peace. No. I know, I'm trying to make it better. Go back to how it was before. There you go, better. Okay, the one that I told about the Mongolian death form, I just gave you like the long version of this. This is basically the same thing that I just talked about. Ooh, but here's the Brazilian one. Wait, the question is, like, where did he go? Like, why? Where was he going with his head? Because I was like, so you say you will pick it up, right? And I'm like, same. I was like, yeah, like, what would I leave my head behind? You know what I mean? But also, like, where was he going with it? What was the purpose of him picking up his head and leaving?
Why do we browse like this? Hunting, clicking.
Anyway. All right. Brazil. Barbara of the Pleasures. All right, then. It's the turn of the 19th century, and colonial Rio de Janeiro is bustling. There are merchants, vendors, enslaved people, sailors, and Portuguese immigrants. About 20-year-old named Barbara. Legend says she stabbed her sleeping husband to run off with a lover, who then began exploiting her. Barbara killed him too and was on her own. As the story goes, she turned to sex work inside the Teles Arch. The dank, dark passage led off the plaza where the Portuguese emperor sat, and members of the royal court became faithful clients and beautiful courtesan known as Barbara of the Pleasures. But age and disease caught up with her. One chronicler, Metolima, wrote in 1921 of a hole in Barbara's nose, her bulging eyes, scratched eyelids, and skeletal hands. Anyone else getting Easter vibes? Wait. To Trevor. So St. Denis walked up to register a complaint with the magistrate. Yeah. I think I would just like pick up my head and then go and like scare as many people as I could. Probably. That's what I say now, but I probably feel like too bad. But imagination. Not that it's possible for me to like give you a head and pick up my head. But anyway, but if it was possible, I would try to scare people. maybe scare bad people, not good kind of. Become the legend of like, like you know how Santos is like he has a naughty list or whatever. And what's Santos? It's like evil version of that kind of. Um, so I'm gonna put them to a pass. Person with okay. Nope. Okay, wait. Focus, focus. All right. So you read the description card. Right? Hold your nose. Hold your nose. Stretch the lips. Hold. To the deep, to the deep, Barbara started watching the when that failed, it said she used blood from infants abandoned in the wheel of the exposed. The revolving compartment of foundlings outside a Catholic institution. In 1738 and 1838. 20,966 babies were left in the wheel, according to the Mexican Imperial Ministry, which were provided by Esther Grant, the retired professor in the infant department of the State University of Liverpool. Ah, Arantes archival research yielded no evidence that Barbara, the real former meal, and otherwise. Whenever someone brought brought a baby to the wheel, the miserable woman, like a crow, came from her hiding place and ran to spill the cup. Bruno wrote, adding Barbara will make sure to drip its blood upon her leprous ulcers. Barbara disappeared, but her story lingers. Word is that she still prowls the palace arch by night, surviving on the blood of babies. Okay, now that one's scary. Aw, the next one is like really short, but it's from Nigeria. It's Maram Koi Koi. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, which I'm probably not. That's okay. Uh, in Nigeria, the Maram Koi Koi ghost stories from what? Wait, I'm not reading. My eyes are not working. In Nigeria, the Madame Koi Koi ghost story was the nightmare of students in a boarding secondary school. The Madame in question often walked around the slope with her head heel, especially at night. The sound of footsteps trailing behind. He dared not come out if anyone raised an alarm that they heard the sound. Sometimes horrified students ran out and hospitals were shut until morning. What even believe? Backstory? No one knows for sure. But one popular theory was that she was fired as a teacher and died days later. Eventually, jobless and suicide. So that's my brother today. You know, we're talking about like how come we don't get all the scary like those stories that we are like in school or whatever. They're usually from like 1800s, untold. Now, what can you say like those stories from those islands? I was just like, and then my brother, he's like later on, gather a lot of light or whatever. But also, I'm like, I feel like nowadays millennials been having it tough. All generations been having it tough in some way or another. So I feel like we have enough spite and stuff to come back and help. All actual haunted house, the Talpa Hotel, reporting memories. Ghosts dressed in black, most of them white, and a glowing oak staircase with words. The spooky stories revolved around the staircase that still stands at the Talpa Hotel in London, a United Kingdom market town about 85 miles north of London that has been around since the 1500s. Mary, Queen of Scots, rival of England's Queen Elizabeth I, is said to have descended the very same flight of steps on the way to her execution in 1587. But at the time, the multi-level structure was part of a nearby Wuthering Hay Castle, the site of Mary's beheading. Yes. Is the music good now? I say, yeah, no problem. um, okay. Nearly 4 decades later, the tablet was rebuilt using stones and other materials salvaged from the abandoned Wuthering Hay, including the castle's storied staircase. Guests and staff have reported seeing a ghostly woman on the stairs, and some have said they heard sobbing in the wee hours, all thought to be the doomed queen. The Associated Press has visited several times and can confirm quality coffee and cakes, but not the presence of ghosts. Why would you say that? The last sentence was not needed. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we move on from one part of the world to the other, to Indonesia. Ghost of the Bantirol train tragedy. Oh. The Bantirol train tragedy in October 1987 is well known in Indonesia. The head-on collision between two commuter trains in the southern area of Jakarta is considered one of the deadliest train accidents in the country's history. The collision killed 139 passengers, giving rise to many mystical stories around the railways. Um, I don't want to be mean or anything, but 139 people is a lot of people. I expected a lot more, which is good that I was wrong, but also it's bad that it was 139 people. In the 37 years since the crash, many local residents and railway workers have reported seeing apparitions of people dressed in old, blood-stained clothing, wandering near the tracks where the tragedy took place. As the local urban legend goes, these ghostly figures are believed to be the spirits of those who perished in the accident and remain unable to move on to the afterlife. Some people may also say there was a figure wandering around and looking for his body parts. Whoa. I am so glad it's actually morning and not nighttime. In 1913, another train accident happened in the same track, only 200 meters or yards from the 1987 accident. The commuter train hit a petrol truck in the crossing gate, killing 7 people, including the train engineer. So is the last sentence supposed to be like, ooh, spooky, this place is kind of haunted or whatever, therefore another accident happened later on? Okay then. We kind of do a skip and hop now to Japan. Yotsuya Kaiden, one of Japan's most maybe it's band engineer roads. Well, I mean, two trains did do a head-on collision. So something must have gone wrong, like, human error. That can happen. The second one, why was there a truck in the middle of the road where the train goes? And I like this cup is very heavy. I feel like I'm gonna drop it. All right, focus. Japan. Jutsuya Kaiden. I no idea what that means. But it is one of Japan's most famous kaiden or ghost stories. It's named after the area in Tokyo where the tragic story takes place. Called Yotsuya Kaiden, it is an unforgettable tale of the arch- archetypal powerless woman whose only recourse for revenge against the man who betrayed her love is to become a ghost. Oiwa, a beautiful woman and wife of the handsome but heartless samurai Iemon, is weak after giving birth to their baby. Iemon is having an affair. And the other woman, seeking to make sure Iemon dumps Oiwa, tricks her into taking poison, thinking it's medicine to her face becomes so her face becomes disfigured. Written in the 19th century and staged as various kabuki plays and made into dozens of movies, a particularly scary scene is the moment when Oiwa discovers her horrible transformation, a telling moment that speaks volumes about human vanity and frailty. When she combs her hair before the mirror, it falls out in clumps. That's scary. She sees her twisted, discolored face and cries out, "Is this my face? Is this my face?" After Oiwa dies, she haunts Iamon, appearing everywhere, perhaps merely his delusion. Iamon is eventually driven to madness. Ooh. All right then. I wish they had more descriptions of like, my aunt once told me that this happened to her friend. Dun 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 dun. Like that. That's what that's the type of stories I want to read. I think after this I'm still curious about these because they're kind of like cryptids and stuff. So I'll finish reading these ones, but I will see if I can find or if you guys can find any. If you're able to, that's great too. You can link them to me. But I want more like, I guess, firsthand accounts of like ghost sightings and stuff like that. Those would be really scary. I read a couple in another stream. I was supposed to post them, but we didn't have enough time to edit the video. But there's a few that I thought were like super creepy, and they were all from like Latin America. And I was like, I don't know if I thought they were like super creepy because um they kind of sound familiar, or something that a version of something that I've heard while growing up that makes it scarier, or it was because it was actually like a creepy tale. Either way, I enjoy it. You saw a dead couple walking by a cemetery? Wait, how do you know they were dead? Did they also have their head with them? They disappeared? What did you do? I would have run. I would. So here's one thing. So cemeteries always being creepy, right? Like always the site of like ghosts and stuff like that, especially in Mexico, where I grew up. So when most places like the cemetery is usually like outside, like in the outskirts of town, right? But then eventually like the town expands, and then it becomes like the cemetery sort of like more inside the town. So that's kind of like what happens in a lot of like small towns in like the Midwest. Or at least in Indiana, I saw a couple of those where the cemetery was just kind of like, it almost looked like a park. It was like fenced out, and there was like a bunch of like tombstones and stuff like that. And then like just the rest of it was just a neighborhood. And I was like, this is scary. I would not like to live near a cemetery because I'm scared. I wouldn't like that. Okay. So they were dressed like from the 1970s. They were walking in the cemetery and then they disappeared. Was it here in the States that you saw that? Was it here in our town? Where was this? I need to know so I can avoid this place. Okay, I have like four more stories, I think, that left to go. Wait, I scrolled too far. So I was in LA. All right, cool. I think we're fine. Well, I think I'm fine. I don't think I'm ever going to go to a cemetery in LA, hopefully, or any cemetery in general. All right, cool. The legend of Ngong Hills in Kenya, a Maasai folktale about an ogre who used to raid villages for food is told to children. It goes like this. The ogre lived deep in the forest and would raid neighboring villages to kill cattle. The Maasai community symbol of wealth, despite many warriors keeping guard. The ogre fell in love with a beautiful Maasai woman named Sanayin. I totally I don't think I'm saying any of this. To a Maasai warrior to win her heart. He then revealed his real identity to Sanayin, who then told the warriors. The warriors, using Sanayin as bait, speared the ogre while he was meeting with his love. Even after he transformed back into an ogre, he could not survive. He fell and died. His 5 fingers, it is said, formed the 5 peaks that are the present-day Ngong Hills, the outskirts of the capital, Nairobi, and a popular hiking destination. All right, if I ever go to Kenya, I am not hiking the hills. Good to know. Good to know. The Philippines. The ghost on Balete Drive. Balete Drive. Ask anyone in Manila about Balete Drive, and many will associate it with the mysterious white lady who appears at night. The street, named after trees that used to line its sidewalks in suburban Quezon City, has been the subject of scary stories that have been told and retold since the 1950s. There are claims that a beautiful woman with long hair dressed in white will sometimes suddenly appear at night, then just disappear without a trace. It is said that the sightings were reported by taxi drivers working on late night shifts. Some claim she would appear asking for a ride and then suddenly disappear from the passenger seat as the vehicle moves. Others say her image will appear in the rearview mirror of drivers driving alone and vanish just as quickly. I haven't seen her, says 53-year-old Roberto Perez, who works part-time near Balete Drive. But when I pass there between midnight to about 1:30, I get goosebumps, so I just quickly turn to another street. The tale's origins are unknown. There are varying accounts why the ghost appears on Balete Drive, but the most common story is that decades ago, a girl died due to a car accident along the street. Horror movies in the Philippines have been produced based on this urban legend. So I once heard someone say that the Philippines it's the Mexico of Asia. And a little bit makes sense because we were both colonized by the same people. Because this is very familiar. Like growing up, I used to hear similar ghost stories. Again, like I said, like there was a cemetery, um, of like, well, in order to go from one town to the next, like where I grew up. Well, no, not where I grew up, where like my parents are from. Um, there you have to pass by the cemetery, right? My head always creepy. But that's usually where people say, right, that they see ghosts, and it's usually a woman. Why is it usually a woman? Are we as women like that scary? That it's usually like, or are we the ones that are always like, um, something horrible always happens to us, so we come back for revenge as ghosts? Um, but yeah, this is a story that I heard quite a lot of times. Hungary, the Marble Bride. Wait, what's it gonna? Wait, what? I already ADHD brain. I already forgot what I said. What's the second explanation? Oh, yes, the woman thing, right? Like the horrible things always happen to us, to women, and therefore we just come back as ghosts because that's the only thing we can do, I guess. Sad. Well, here we go. Not only did the woman thing happen in the Philippines, but also in Hungary, apparently. Because that's where we go for the marble bride, not bride, bride. The branches of stately trees on a leafy avenue in Hungary's capital, passerbys can spot an unusual figure keeping solemn watch from above, the statue of a woman with a mournful expression peering from a stone balcony. The sculpture known as the Marble Bride is unlike any of the other frescoes on surrounding buildings in Budapest, and the mystery of its presence has produced legends going back nearly a century. In one, a young woman. n- No, I was wrong. That's not what it said. It said, in one, a young couple shared an apartment in the building when the husband was called to fight in World War One. The wife waited patiently on the balcony each day for his return, and when a letter arrived with news of his death on the front, the woman died of a broken heart. But the letter had been mistaken. When the husband returned home and found his wife had died, he had a sculpture carved in her honor and placed where she had spent so many days faithfully waiting. Another legend says that the husband never returned from the war, and unable to accept his death, the woman stayed waiting on the balcony and eventually turned to stone, and still waits today for a reunion that would never come. Aww, this is a sad story. But people turning into stone, also a legend I've heard in Mexico. It's usually some like tied to some sort of religious thing, though. The stone turning to stone thing. And now from Hungary, we go to the other part of the world. With the other side of the world, Thailand. I am not even gonna try to pronounce. Maybe I should have. Oh, man, this is. I don't know how to pronounce this, man. Lady Nak of Fra Kanong. Please tell us wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say Lady Nak. Bangkok is home to one of Thailand's most famous pieces of folklore, the tragic love of Mae Nak, or Lady of Nak, of this place that I cannot pronounce. The young and pregnant Nak, was waiting for her husband Mac to come back from the war to their home in the banks of the canal. Nag and her baby died during childbirth, but Mac still came home to see them waiting. With his unwavering love, Mac rejected warnings that Nag was a ghost until he saw her stretching her arm from the upper floor porch to the ground to pick up a line. Oh. He fled, and Nag started terrorizing the town in grief and fury. In one variation of the story's ending, Nag was stopped either by a shaman who captured her in a clay jar or a powerful Buddhist monk who performed a rite to rest her spirit in peace. The story has been reinterpreted into dozens of movies, while the critically acclaimed 1999 version becoming the first Thai movie to gross over 100 million baht, about 2.7 million at the time. The shrine dedicated to Nak at Wat Mahabut, the temple where her body is believed to be buried, is famous for worshippers using their prayers about love and children being answered. Oh, that's the last one. Aw. Alrighty then. Well, this was very interesting. Yep, that's exactly all of the. Yeah, this is the website where I got all the ones on my list. So there is that. Let me see if I can find the stories that I was talking about earlier. Okay. I found two potential ones that we can read. One is from BuzzFeed and the other one is from HuffPost. Whatever, it doesn't matter as long as it's kind of creepy. Okay, so what is it? The BuzzFeed one has like about. Oh, why are there so many ads here, man? How do I close out of this ad? Can't. Yes! First-hand stories. Okay. So we moved from sort of like cryptid, sort of like tales and stuff like that from like different countries, and now we're just gonna spend some time reading stories from actual people. I'm gonna move this a little bit. My head hurts. Interesting. Blah blah blah. Okay. So these are 23 of the best, most horrifying stories that I guess people have told to this one person who wrote the. I guess BuzzFeed readers have shared.
This is Buick.
Okay, here's the first one. My parents bought a house in the middle of nowhere. That's where I live. The original owner of the house died by suicide in the garage. That did not happen in my house. The next man who owned the house rented the house to a friend. The friend died while living in the house. Okay. The man then sold the house to my parents. He died 2 weeks after my parents closed on the house. Before moving in, my dad befriended a couple in town, and after hearing about the house, the wife insisted on coming by and smudging the place. My dad didn't believe in any of the nonsense about the house being haunted or having a bad juju, but he let her sage anyway. That didn't do any good, though. because my dad died very unexpectedly a few months after in a freak accident at the house. Um, Alrighty then. That's creepy. When I was 17, a foster kid living in Oakland. No, why are people calling me? And it's also a scam. Shh. I have no time for this. Reading scary stories. I have no time for scams. I'm reading scary stories. um, when I was 17 and a foster kid living in Oakland, the family I stayed with had this old, typical San Francisco style 2-story house with wood floors. Oh, no, no, no. Wood floors are scary. They creak. One night, I went to the bathroom and was right in front of the stairs on the first floor. As I was about to walk back upstairs, I saw the bottom of a lady's long white gown at the top of the stairs. I thought it was the foster mom or sister and asked if they wanted me to leave the light on in the bathroom for them. No response. The gown just turned and went down the hallway. Wait. I thought it must have been my foster sister sleepwalking because she was still like 10 or 11 and did that sometimes. I went upstairs and peeked in the parents' room. They were both snoring. I went back to a room where my sister was dead asleep in her bed, wearing a Raiders t shirt. I was freaked out and quickly closed our door to the hallway as I suddenly realized that there was no sound of footsteps walking on the wood floor. I hopped in bed and hid under my blanket for the rest of the night. I would have screamed bloody murder. Yep, that would have been me. What? My dad was good friends with the Green River Killer? They ate lunch together every day for 10 years. While he, unbeknownst to my dad, had dead woman in the back of his pickup in the Kenworth parking lot. Nobody at his church knew either. He could be one of the most prolific serial killers in American history if he actually killed as many women as he claims. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, was convicted of 49 murders, but claims the number is actually closer to 80. Jeez. An indication to be nice to people? Oh. Okay. As a kid, I grew up on the street that was newly developed. There was a vacant lot across the road that led down a hill to a river. I had a recurring nightmare that me and my brothers were in the lot picking up rubbish. I'll get the riverbank, look in the water, and a red demon, traditional devil-looking character, will drag me into the water to drown. I'll wake up terrified. This happened a lot when I was a kid, but as I got older, my dreams stopped, and I didn't really mention it to anyone. Fast forward many years later, and my 5-year-old daughter wakes up crying from a bad dream. I comfort her and ask if she wants to tell me what she dreamed about. She tells me, I was in the field picking flowers and I got too close to the river, and a red devil dragged me in. I didn't know what to say. It sounded just like my dream from when I was a kid. She has had the same dream a few times since then. That's scary. Like, scary if he never actually told anyone. Okay, where's another one? I have been a nurse for over 20 years. I have plenty of weird, creepy experiences, but this one still chills me. I had two older patients that I was taking care of, one in room 304 and one in room 305. If there wasn't a wall between their rooms, their headboards would have been butted up to each other. The gentleman in 305 was completely nonverbal. He didn't talk. He didn't respond to any stimuli. His pupils were fixed and staring. He was physically still alive, but mentally not there at all. My patient in 304 was basically there to die, but she was completely alert and oriented. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, she took a turn for the worse. She was struggling to breathe, panicking, begging for help, but adamant that we don't do anything to save her from dying. I turned up her oxygen, called the doctor to get orders, then started doing what the doctor ordered to try to get her comfortable again. While I was administering meds, the nurse tech came to the bedside next to me. In an incredible voice, she said, "You have got to see room 305." I had another nurse stay with my patient in 304 and headed to 305. I heard him before I even walked in. He was singing in a loud, shaky, but beautiful tenor, singing about meeting God at the pearly gates and going home. I slowly walked into the room and said his name. No response. He kept singing. I grabbed his leg. Still no response. Still singing. I gently shook his arm, but he still did not respond to me at all. He was just laying in bed, staring at nothing, and singing hymns about going home to heaven. Hmm. Oh wait, there's more. I stood if I stood for a few seconds, but I eventually went back to my dying patient. After about 25 or 30 minutes, she took her last breath. I set about doing
Why do
all
we
the
browse like
things I
this?
needed to do after a
Hunting,
death,
clicking, searching.
but remembered my patient in 305. I went to his doorway and all I heard was silence. I peeked my head in and looked at him. He was lying there, as usual, staring out at nothing, completely silent. Once my other patient passed, he stopped singing, and I never heard him make another sound the rest of the time I cared for him. I found this whole situation kind of beautiful, but it still freaks me out. Yes, I am freaked out. I don't want to work at a hospital anymore. I don't work at a hospital, but also, now I really don't want to. And I think this one's even creepier because it wasn't just the person that's reporting it, right? There was the other nurse who also heard it. So I was like, bruh, I don't know. Next one. I was coming home from work one night in college, and I remember it was Valentine's Day. I was tired after work, so I got home and went right to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night to my roommate knocking on my bedroom door, telling me that someone was trying to open our back door. This is my this is my nightmare. When my not anymore, because one of my brothers has work until 9 p.m. or like 10 maybe at the latest. But yeah, it is. I am scared of like somebody just kind of like knocking the back door. Anyway, I woke up and let her into my room, and we peeked outside from my bedroom window where we could see police line up with their lights in front of the house. We called 911 to see the dispatcher would tell us what was going on. She let me know that a man had attacked a woman with a machete. He was running from the cops through backyards, and he was probably in ours now. Oh! We then saw a bunch of cops with their guns drawn, and a canine officer walks down our driveway, kicks down our fence, and releases the dog, catching this man and arresting him in our backyard. The creepiest part, the next morning, we went to look at the damage to the fence and saw a bloody handprint on our white back door. I'll never forget that. This is extra creepy, gets extra creepy points for being real. uh, for for being real. I was supposed to only read stories for about an hour, but now I'm hooked. I am getting kind of hungry though. So maybe after reading this one. Oh, wait, 1 second. Oh, the other one seems like it has also good stories, but some of them are kind of long. Maybe I'll save this for later. Maybe just take a break eating and then come back and read more stories. Okay. Oh, this one took place during a time of war in Vietnam. Our house didn't have air conditioning, so we kept our windows open. One night, I heard the dog bark and then what sounded like a bottle hitting the ground. After that, she stopped barking. Oh no! I went to get ready for bed and I felt like someone was trying to look at me through the blinds that I had closed. I went to bed anyway and drifted off to sleep. Suddenly, I was being overtaken by mosquitoes. I yelled out to my father, confused as to why there were so many mosquitoes in my room. I sat up in bed and turned on the light to find that the window at the foot of my bed had been opened as wide as it could. The blinds were pulled completely up and the screen had been removed. That had been done to several windows in the house. Soon after, my dad fenced the backyard and installed central air conditioning. Wait, is the dog okay? So because as soon as I hear like something about like a dog barking, I'm like, danger. Because it could be like a stranger trying to get in or a ghost. According to my family, ghosts are able to see, or like ghosts, dogs are able to see ghosts. Okay, here's another one. My mom used to call my grandma every single night. However, during a family camping trip when I was 15, she was unable to call her because the cell phone reception was horrible. So my dad promised we could go to the nearest town for breakfast in the morning so that we could get service and call grandma. Okay. But when we got to town, Mom had over a dozen missed calls and voicemails. Most of them were from my cousin who lived across the country. She would always talk about having visions, but my parents and I thought she was full of it. My mom listened to the message and my cousin was crying and saying someone was hurting my grandma at that exact moment. She kept asking for my mom to call or to go to her because she was being stabbed. My cousin described fire and being suspended in the air. The remaining voicemails from the family members trying to tell mom that grandma had been murdered. Someone had broken in, stabbed her, tied her up, and then lit the house on fire. It was bad enough that my mom blamed herself because it happened during their usual phone call time. But the intense mix of visions and voicemails, it is why we don't really talk about my grandma's death. Oh. 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 Moral of the story, don't go camping. That's so sad and so creepy. Okay, this one's pretty short. I used to waitress at a restaurant in a small town. I had regulars that were average people, no big tippers, sometimes a pain. But for the most part, they were nice. Well, one day, one of them popped up on the news because he had been arrested in connection with his fiance's murder. They hadn't even found her body, and he'd already been convicted of first-degree murder. I fed a murderer on a weekly basis and never knew anything was awry. Well, how would you? This one's not. I mean, yes, very creepy, very much like I would not like to experience that. But it's just the other one got me, and I was like, this one, eh, like it's not. It's not the other stories. Like, how are you gonna follow that up, man? I used to have precognitive dreams all the time. There were little moments that would end up happening like I experienced them in the dream. One time I had the most vivid dream about a car accident. So vivid. A dream about a so vivid I thought I must have seen it on TV while I was falling asleep. But I realized that wasn't possible because I had gone from seeing the accident from the outside of the truck to suddenly being inside, viewing from what would have been the backseat if the car had one. I saw the truck flip over and both passengers hit their heads on the windshield, killing them. It really bothered me because it seemed more real than other dreams. I couldn't shake it. I talked about it to a few people and carried on wondering what prompted this in the first place. Several weeks later, I arrived at the scene of an identical accident. Same little white truck flipped over in the exact same spot as my dream, half in the left lane of the highway and half in the grassy median. Every detail was the exact same and it horrified me. Um, Also creepy. Also very, very creepy. Wait, I think this was a ghost story again. When my great uncle was still alive, I saw him once a year and did not have a really warm relationship with him. 10-year-old me 10-year-old me thought of him being old, a bit peculiar, but kind. The day he passed away, my parents went to his house to clean up before they sold the place. I inherited his piano. I always wanted to have a piano in my bedroom, so I was filled with joy when I got it. One day I was alone in the room practicing for release when suddenly the piano took over. I had mastered only the intro and chorus, but the piano went on with the parts I didn't know. You couldn't see the keys being pressed, but you could hear it. I called my sister and a friend, and they turned pale. After a while, it stopped by itself like nothing ever happened. So weird. So weird? That's all you gotta say, bro? I would have been like, anyway, so I'm donating this piano to a church or something, have some sort of exorcism being done on this, and I would never play the piano again. So weird. Jeez. People are really not scared. My husband and I were nearly married when we were sent here for an apartment in this one's in Long Beach. A little too close to home. I mean, I live like a couple of hours away, but still. It's like a place I know, so it makes it creepier, you know? Anyway, they were searching for an apartment in Long Beach. One we came upon was very nice, street in a converted older home. There were established trees around the yard and the landscaping was neatly trimmed. The landlord greeted us at the driveway and told us she would show us around. All was well with me so far. I really liked the location and appearance of the outside area. The apartment was on the second floor, so we went to the first behind our guide. And the minute it started up the stairs, I felt very strange and uneasy. I momentarily closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I distinctly saw blood smeared all along the wall to my left. I closed my eyes again, and when I opened them, there was no blood visible. I didn't say anything about what had happened to me, and we continued to view the apartment. I would have been like, hold my hand, husband. At the end of the tour, my husband took me aside and said he didn't like the apartment and we should keep looking. I would have been like, same, bro. After a long day of looking for our apartment, we decided to stop for coffee and discuss places we looked. During that discussion, my husband said he thought the second floor apartment in the old house looked really good on the outside, but he didn't like the inside. I asked what he particularly didn't like, and he said that if he told me, I would think he was losing it. I laughed and told him I would not, and so he proceeded to tell me that the staircase gave him a creepy feeling and that he thought someone had something bad had happened there. I was flabbergasted and told him what had happened to me while we were there. We stared at each other for a few seconds and decided then and there that we made the right choice. Oh yeah. Mhm. Also very creepy, man. Something I feel a little bit bad because I kind of advertised this stream as I was talking about like the psychology of horror and stuff like that. But unfortunately, my guest for the panel slash discussion couldn't really make it today, and I am really not an expert in any of this. But I am gonna talk a little bit about mental health right now. So this whole sort of like vibe thing that she was talking about in her thing, sometimes I explain it to people, especially when someone is sort of like neurodivergent, because for ADHD individuals, the brain is sort of like moving really fast sometimes, so you're able to see everything, but you don't really retain a lot of that information because your brain is sort of like moving fast, and it just memory is not the greatest. So a lot of people talk about like being able to sense the vibe of something, and they can't really explain why they feel this vibe. And something that I tell them is like, well, sometimes our brain is picking up different sort of like behaviors, because I don't know about you guys, like my ADHD brain sometimes thinks that things happen too fast. I can't pay attention to all of the things that are happening all at once, and then so I either kind of like hyper focus on a specific something, or I'm kind of like trying to focus on several things at the same time. But I do get sometimes like this vibe of people, and I can't really explain why I feel like this person's trustworthy or not trustworthy, or why something kind of feels off about the situation. And part of that is because communication is not just like the words that we say, right? It's how we say it, it's our body language, it's all of that stuff. It's like how our facial expressions is sort of like connected to everything, like our body language and the words that we're saying and little things like that. So so sometimes it is good to go with sort of like a gut feeling or like a vibe, because even though we can't really explain it, we might be picking up this like little sort of like cues from people. So I often, after I get like a bite vibe of someone or like a gut feeling, I try to sort of like reflect on it, and then see if I need to take sort of like action. A lot of the times it's just me being like, oh, this situation made me uncomfortable because X, Y, and Z, right? And I come up to the conclusion of me being uncomfortable for specific reasons, as opposed to just having a general vibe of like why I'm uncomfortable. So sometimes it's okay, and it's good to trust their vibes. But along with it, like or gut feelings, like I will say like reflecting or reflecting on it is very important. Am I even streaming on YouTube? So technically I am, I'm supposed to be. But I'm also playing something, like using YouTube to play something. So I don't think I'm streaming. Yeah, I don't think it's streamed. Oh no, I am live. Okay. Okay. I just kind of wondering. All right, back to stories. Ooh, okay, another one with a dream. Oh, after this one, if I don't talk about it, remind me to talk about dreams and mental health, kind of like basically. All right. So I had a dream that my parents were being held hostage in my bedroom. Ooh, which was the basement. Which was in the basement. Sometimes when I hear the word basement, I'm like, you know what? I could really do this like cool thing in like a basement. I could like decorate it. It could be like a game place. It can become like a nice area or whatever. But then sometimes it's like, I guess in this context, it's like basement, dark, dingy, hostages, you know? Anyway, in the dream, I came home and thought it was weird that the only lights on were in my room, knowing I turned them off when I left. So I walked over to the little basement window and peeked to see my parents bound in back to back chairs and a man waving a knife at them. The man heard me and turned around. I saw his face and ran back to my car. Then I woke up from the dream. Not that weird, right? Well, fast forward 2 years and I met my mom's new boyfriend, who went on to become my stepdad. It was, in fact, the man I dream of holding my parents hostages. Um. Okay. So for this one, I'm kind of like, I don't know about this, bro. Because 2 years later and faces. So here's the thing. When it comes to memory, especially about faces, to my understanding, our brain can actually create faces. The faces that we draw or paint or whatever, they're based on faces that we have seen at some point or another, whether we actually recall them or not. Um, so I feel like, hey, maybe if you saw this person, because usually when you get into sort of like a relationship, it's with someone that's sort of like around your area. That makes me wonder if sort of like they just had, like, they must have seen this person um sort of walking around at a store or whatever, and then they had a dream and they attributed this. I think I would have been more weirded out if the dream actually came true, kind of like the other one that we heard earlier, where the girl like had dreamed like everything that had happened to their grandma without even knowing. So yeah, that was bad. Oh yeah, so I was going to talk about dreams as well. So sometimes we do get people coming into therapy and talking about their dreams, and um it is not my job as a therapist to provide an interpretation of the dreams. It is my job to be there, to listen, to support, to point out different things. In a sense, sort of like hypothesize what this might be happening based on what we have talked about before, common things that can happen. Because I did have a client of mine talked about having nightmares about behaving the same way that their sibling would behave, in very sort of narcissistic sort of like manner, and they're not like that. um but after talking a little bit about it, we were just kind of like, okay, so why are you having these dreams? Like, what's the root of the dreams? And it just happened to be these sort of memories or emotions that were not processed at that time. So that's how I have personally encountered sort of like dreams in therapy. And also, it really is very much dependent on what the person we are working with believes, right? So for example, earlier I said that in Mexico, a big black dog it was often described as being like a demon or evil spirit, being Satan or whatever. So if I were to have a dream about like a mean black dog, I could interpret it as like, me being afraid of something or it being the devil or whatever. Because we also, I don't know if you guys heard about sleep paralysis, but that is a very common thing that happens. And then, so whenever that happens, usually our brain immediately defaults, because we have no control over it, kind of. Our brain immediately defaults to um, the things that we're afraid of, right? So, for example, for me, when I experience sleep paralysis, I always thought about ghosts and demons and stuff like that, because that's what I grew up being afraid of. I also very much afraid of spiders, but spiders wouldn't really necessarily explain why I couldn't move my body. However, demons and ghosts, that explains things. So yeah. Okay, now I feel not so bad. I don't feel so bad about not talking psychology. All right, next one. I was on a plane flying from NYC, New York City, to LA in February 2020. Ooh, pandemic. I had fallen asleep and had the wildest dreams. I was the exact same plane with the same exact people, but this time the Green Reaper in black cloaks and a scythe, and all the creepiness was slowly walking down the aisle. It stopped at me and asked in the most terrifying, otherworldly voice, "Do you want to die?" Um, oh. I would have started screaming. To which I responded, "No." So it kept on moving down the aisle. I woke up when the plane landed, chalking up my dream to a weekend of partying with friends in NYC with little to no sleep. But, but as soon as we got to the gates, we were told to stay in our seats with no further instruction. A few minutes later, they informed us that someone on the plane had been feeling sick and had traveled from China to NYC and now NYC to LA. And as a precaution, with this new virus happening around the world, the CDC was coming on board, etc. We were finally released, and when I got off the plane, I saw a young girl and her mother both looking not well, basically in plastic bubbles surrounded by members of the CDC and the airport staff. Scary. Okay. No thoughts on this one. Like, I feel like it is very scary too. I mean, the dream itself is scary. And like the whole thing with like COVID and stuff like that, also very scary. The fact that it happened like back to back, doubly scary. This happened a few years ago. A couple of days before Christmas, it was the weekend, and my mother and I were doing our usual weekend thing, ordering food and watching crappy holiday TV movies. Hallmark movies, woo! We had just ordered the food, and not too long after that, we heard a knock at the door. We both looked We both looked at each other, knowing there was no way that the delivery was here already. It was way too quick. My mother answered the door, and there was a woman standing there who've never seen before. She asked if someone in particular was there. My mother said no and shut the door. I couldn't hear what the woman said because of the TV, but my mom said the woman asked for Gloria. If you come this far, you're probably wondering how this is a creepy story. Well, I'll tell you. My grandmother's name was Gloria. She never lived at our house, and we've been the only people living in the house for decades. So it's not like we just moved in and someone was looking for a recent occupant. Now for the weird part. My grandmother had been there for about 15 years at that point. I picked up my phone and texted my cousin about it, and it suddenly dawned on me that my grandmother passed away around Christmas time. My cousins then reminded me that she actually died that day, the same day that the random woman came to my house and asked for Gloria. I like to think that my grandmother stopped by to say hello. I miss you, Mimi. Drop by anytime. Um, would you like for your deceased relatives to come and visit? I would just be like, hey, listen, bro. How about no? How about you don't visit? You just kind of um do the ancestor thing and take care of us and watch out. But I don't think I would like them to visit. I think I'm okay. I would be like, even if it was like a good, because at least growing up I heard like about, because there's like the stories where it's kind of like something like this, where it's like a family member that had passed away that's sort of like coming to visit, and sometimes it's a demon, it's a ghost, it's like some revenge or something, or like a llorona. You like to have a conversation with them. I think I'm gonna be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna die in about 50 years. We can hang out then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm okay. I'm okay, I think. um, I work in a small town public library. About 15 years ago, one woman, Tina, paid for a lost book with a check, which bounced. A couple of my coworkers knew her personally and were surprised it wasn't like her. They were all like, I can't believe Tina will write a bad check. Later that week, Tina strangled her mother and staged it to look like suicide. We never did get paid for the book. The twist in this! The twist! Whoa! I did not see this coming. Jeez. My uncle used to have a typewriter in his house, but not any ink for it. I would sometimes tap on the keys and pretend I was writing a story, but get told off by my uncle. One day, while my grandmother was sick in the hospital, there was something strange written on the typewriter. It said 15 months in dark red ink. I checked to see if the typewriter had any ink left, but it didn't. I took the paper out and threw it away since I was 10 at the time and thought it was a joke. That's how long my grandmother was alive for? 15 months. Sometimes when I visit, I see my name written. Sometimes when I visit, I see my name written on it. My uncle, aunt, and cousins don't remember and think it was from when I used to play with it. I'm cool. I'm cool. See, again, don't really need to be visited. Don't really need to know what's gonna happen in the future. I think I'm all right. I was on a road trip and heard a voice in my head very clearly said, accident in Oakville. I don't know what it was, but I was on edge and drove extra careful. I pulled up to a red light and left extra space in front of me due to this warning. Suddenly, there was a loud sound. Things in the car went flying, followed by another loud sound. A vehicle traveling at full speed had hit me from behind and pushed my car underneath the Q van in front of me. The extra space I left in front of me as a caution saved my life. My car was repaired and I survived the crash. I had a friend who died less than a year prior to this accident, and there is no one in the world who can convince me that it wasn't them who can protect me to that day. So I'm gonna tell a personal story now, actually. So earlier I was talking about how sometimes we pick up details and we just don't really know, or we end up filling in the blanks with some sort of like superstition or belief that we have um about something, right? So I had a very similar experience Uh, so I would often, when I was, so I went to school in San Diego, which is about 5 hours south of where I live now. This is my childhood home. So um, sometimes I will make the drive like later at night because I was like, oh, there's less traffic. I wanted to spend as much time as I could with family, whatever. It just worked. I was young. I could stay up a little bit later. Or sometimes during winter, it's it just gets darker at night, so it's still relatively early, but it's just dark. And one time, as I was walking, as I was driving through the mountains between sort of like the Central Valley and LA, like I think it's like uh I forgot. Anyway, I was driving to the fair. I kind of just got this sense that I needed to slow down. And I was like, okay, I'll slow down. I was just kind of like, I'm awake. I'll slow down. I'll pay attention. And then, um, there was this car that hit another car, and it just spun out of control. And there was like a bus that was like right on that lane, and it was having like a hard time stopping because this car, it was like a car, and another car just kind of like hit it, and it started spinning out of control, and then the other car started like going fast, and then there was a bus that was behind like the accident, and it was having like trouble like stopping. And I was like, it's a good thing that I slowed down because that car was in front of me. The car that hit the other car that started the whole accident was in front of me. And I was like, I could have just hit the car if I didn't give like extra space or like slow down. So again, sometimes you do need to listen to your gut, because your brain is sort of like picking up clues here and there as to like what's happening. So, yes. Ooh, this one's a little bit long. Ooh, this one's a little bit longer. Okay, hopefully this one's good. Okay, okay. Here we go. Okay, so I think this is gonna be the last one that I'm gonna read for today. Because I'm kind of getting hungry now. But I really do want to do the tier list as well. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do any of like the horror, mental health kind of thing that I had planned, because our guests couldn't come, and I am not qualified to be talking about horror and stuff, horror and mental health, because I'm not something I have looked into too much. But I think there was an article. Wait, I don't even see that. Hold on, I'm gonna stop sharing the creepy music for a bit. I think somebody shared an article on Discord. No, it's yeah. I guess we can read this article as well. Is the article is why we're so drawn to scary content. Huh. So like I said, I'm not really an expert. I'm not the biggest fan of horror. I just like stories. So I'll read this story. We can read the article, and then we'll do the tier list. But before that, let me just answer this message. I We are preparing for a booth that's happening out this weekend, and I'm kind of like trying to get the merch ready. I do need to drive to. I kind of don't want to. I'm having so much fun reading these stories, but I really do need to end because I'm hungry, and also because um I need to drop off the stuff for the con today. Otherwise, it's going to get really hectic tomorrow. And since we don't have any volunteers and I don't have any extra help or anything like that, I don't want to do everything tomorrow because then I'll be like so tired and then I'll probably fall asleep. All right, last story. My fiance and I were fiance, whatever. And I were in Nashville touring wedding venues. Afterwards, we visited Broadway and checked out the bars and live music, and were both a little tipsy. We called it an early night as we drove home to DC the next afternoon and went back to a hotel at around 7 p.m. We took a nap, then around 9, we ordered takeout and ate in the room. Talking about the day, our hotel room was set up a bit oddly. The front door opened into the sleeping space, and past the bed was the living room, separated by protrusions coming from the wall. My fiance went to sleep and I stayed up for a bit scrolling on my phone. I don't know what time I eventually went to bed. At some point in the night, I woke up on my side facing the living room. I felt like I was being watched. Oh, that is a very creepy feeling. Like feeling like you're being watched, especially if you're like at home or something. I opened my eyes and there was a shadow person tucked into the protrusion, separating the rooms. I felt like they were staring at me. I had paranormal experiences before, so I wasn't immediately terrified. I don't care. I would have still been terrified. Well, of course I'm not. Anyway, they were about 5'7", with shoulder length curly or poofy hair. Think a silhouette of Sirius Black. That reference now it's making me think maybe you made it up. Anyway, I acknowledged them and told them that they could stay if they were respectful and minded their own, and that we could be out of the space in the morning. I rolled over, hugging my fiance, and went back to sleep without incident. We checked out of the hotel, got breakfast, and hit the road the next morning. It was pitch black as we were driving through the mountains when my fiance said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you about this dream I had last night." He proceeded to tell me that he was dreaming that he opened his eyes and there was a figure standing over him, nose to nose, almost inspecting him. The dream had shifted, and he was now watching himself and the figure from a third person's perspective. He said that the shadow figure was mirroring him. When he moved to get around it, it mimicked him and blocked him so he couldn't get to me and he couldn't get away. My heart was pounding when I asked him what it looked like. And he said it was hard to tell because they weren't identifiable features. There was a shadow, but they did have distinct poofy hair that reached its shoulders. I was shocked. I told him that I had never planned to tell him what I had seen because I knew he got uncomfortable when I did that kind of thing, and I thought he had left us alone. But I told him how I had seen the same figure in the corner of a room. We were both shocked, and needless to say, we did not go back to the hotel on our wedding planning trips to Nashville. Um, Good call. Ah, man. All right. Uh, oh no, hold on. The one thing that I needed, I don't think everything else was done, but I think the one thing that I really needed. Oh man. Um. Okay, close this. Oh, Thank you. I just don't know though because I don't know what the venue is going to be like. I don't know where the booth is going to be located, and I don't know where you're able to even drop off the stuff. So, but if you would like to come and sort of like volunteer with us for a few hours, we can I can probably give you sort of like a pass. Um and you can wander around the con if you want. It is in Fresno though, at the fairgrounds. Uh wait, was it June? Oh yes. So unfortunately I did this thing. Oh, I guess I can do it on Canva. I will my, oh yeah. Well, we're gonna be there on Sunday as well if you have any availability. But if not, it's okay. No, no pressure. Um. Okay. So I'm moving. Well, there's only like the two of us here, so I'll let you decide. So I had three tier lists that I wanted to do, but I was like, you know what? I don't have to do them all now. I can always do other like spooky streams, I guess, like later on, like next month. Like it doesn't have to be today. But okay, so I had three options for the tier list. It was either we do like the top 10 serial killers in movies, or we do classic monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, whatever, or we do legends or cryptids like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, like stuff like that. Um, what would you prefer we do? Serial killers, classic monsters, or legends? We'll do one, and then the other ones we will leave for like other streams so we can have more fun. Okay, sorry. Okay, so good news, everyone. We do have the thing that I needed for tomorrow. So yay! I was concerned, but they were able to make it happen. So that's good. That's good. Monsters. All right, cool. So I will share my screen one more time with you. And but this time it will be different. Nah, 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 nah. I did a were you guys able to watch the live stream that I did with if I could remember, that'd be great. Um with Chess and Wen. We did like a tier list of like superheroes. So I'm gonna use that same template. Here it is. So if you give me just a second. No. I'm gonna copy all of it. Ugh. I need a desk that is. Oh, okay. I need a desk that is mega huge. Because for some reason I am. Whoa, what is this so big? Whoa. All right. All right, so let me just delete some of the things that we don't really need. Monsters. All right. So here is where your help is needed. As soon as I can show you the screen. Brr, 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 brr. Wait, let me try one thing actually. Oh no, it's not gonna work. Oh well. All right. So here is our tier list. However, oh no, I don't want that. Okay. um so it's monsters. But how should we rate them? Like how scary they are? Like in general, like how scary their legend is, or which one is the strongest? What should be the thing that we evaluate? I almost exited out. Oh wait, no, I need to leave it here. Okay, I'm gonna move this. Strongest? Okay. So who would win? Who would win in a fight? That is not a spell word. So I already have the monsters that we'll be using. If I could just here. Da-da-da-da. Okay. Wait, I need to be able to see. No, wait, where's the? Jeez. Here's the stream. Okay. All right. So I will give you, since it will be me in chat. No, it's not. It is this one. Chat. You will be the one of the raters for today. What should chat look like? I guess I'll use this one. It's so tiny. Okay, we have two raters. It's me and chat. And you guys are chat. All right, perfect. So usually, yeah, I guess we can go with S tier. Uh no, okay, I have to change this. It's not who will win in a fight, it's who strength. That's what we're measuring, right? So, or we're kind of judging. So S tier, this will be A. This would be B, and this is D. Just make this bigger so you can see them clearly. How big is this? 466. No, wait. There you go. Okay, perfect. That is ready to go. So let's see if we can find some, like, because we need little images of the monsters. So we have Frankenstein. Well, it's Frankenstein's monster technically, so we use this little widget. Okay, that is one, and then another one is Dracula. So as I as I am doing this, start thinking about potential like weaknesses for these monsters and whether or not you can take them in a fight. Wolfman. What? Oh, it started showing me woman, and I was like, "What the heck?" All right, Wolfman. There you go, and then we have the Invisible Man. Invisible Man. This is usually what I think of when I think about Invisible Man. This right here. Okay, what is the next monster? King Kong. All right. Well, would that just like win? Um, I think I'll go with this one for King Kong. It almost kind of looks like Bigfoot though. The Mummy. I like this one. It is dabbing. All right, and then we have Godzilla. Oh, look how cute and adorable this Godzilla is. We'll go with this one though. Oh, so cute. Nosferatu. Well, should we even do Nosferatu since Dracula is already like? Is Dracula and Nosferatu supposed to be the same? Man, I don't even know this. Predator. Uh okay, well, none of these would be. Oh, spider. Icky. Well, let me see if I can find a cute image of Predator. They are okay. Perfect. Um, this one's fine. Check this out. Cute. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen any of the Predator movies. Okay, what's the other one? I almost. Okay, so I'm just gonna like not put Nosferatu. Then we'll have 9. Then, unless we can think of another monster that can take its place. So wait, let's see who else we have. The creature from Black Lagoon. What is the creature from Black Lagoon? That's what my note says. A fishman? Okay. I actually don't know anything about this one either. Not a good thing. Can you guys think of another monster that can probably take the place of Nosferatu, since we decided to eliminate him? And by we, I mean me. Since it's kind of like the same as Dracula. Um, a zombie. Okay, yeah, perfect. That's actually a good one. Zombie. Yeah, another one, Dabby. Perfect. We are ready to get started. Share your opinion in the comments. I'm gonna turn off my light though. Hold on a second, so I can see a little bit better. This isn't the spooky vibes are no longer needed. So I'm gonna turn on the lamp. All right. It's still kind of hot. It's still kind of a little bit chilly though. Okay, okay. So for these classic monsters, where would we rate Frankenstein's monster? So, from my understanding, he's pretty strong, like stronger than a human. But can he die? I think he can die, right? Like he can be killed off. Like he's not like immortal or anything like that. A tier? We're gonna compromise and we're gonna put him in B tier because I feel like he can die, and nowadays with like the tech that we have and stuff like that, he wouldn't be as scary. So I would put him in B tier. Potentially changed if we figure something out from like a different monster. Okay, Dracula. So Dracula is strong. He can turn into a bat, probably. Uh and he kind of is immortal. He there is a way that he can die, but it's very specific. So it's kind of like wait, can I do this? Oh, that's way better. There you go. Oh, he can also mind control. All right. So see, that's kind of why I put Frankenstein's monster here on B because I feel like Dracula would be A. Oh, ah. If I do that, man, fine. If I do that, I can't do this. All right. I would put Dracula in A because it it's a bit more difficult to off him. Werewolf man. Strength probably more than a human. Wait, what is he? What was he actually called? The Wolfman. Yeah, the Wolfman can mind control. Oh no, wait, that's the. Never mind. Never mind. I, I thought you had read another message. No, that was for Dracula. Um, I thought he can only turn during the full moon. So, I mean, it is stronger than human, but can die and can probably only shift during the full moon. So I think he's just gonna keep Frankenstein's monster. What is Frankenstein's monster name? Does he have a name? Agility? Yeah, but like he can die. You know, like not to be overly American, but with guns, he can do it. It's not as scary as when it was like way back in the day. And also, you can totally avoid him by like not going into the woods. You know what I mean? Invisible Man. So I've never seen any of the Invisible Man movies where he is featured, but I never really thought he was an evil entity. It just seemed more like he was just invisible. D tier, yeah, yeah, okay, I agree with you. Because I mean, I think he's just a man, like a regular person. Yeah, he's just invisible. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. So I think for these two, there is no. This is King Kong, by the way. There is no argument needed, and I'm just gonna immediately place them in the S tier because, yeah, I mean, they are huge. They can die, but they are like way, way stronger than Dracula. Do you think Dracula can mind control them? Wait a minute. Can Dracula mind control Godzilla? Mm, 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 mm. Would they be able to break out of it? Would be the question. If he climbs a ladder, it would be difficult, but maybe. I mean, he will probably need a team, right? Like, or he will need to be like have a good solid plan, or be like super sneaky. And also, Godzilla is usually in the middle of the ocean, so that's trickier. So okay, I think, yeah, I think he stays there in A. The Mummy. I am gonna go um based on the Mummy, the one from, is it the 90s? The one with uh Brandon Fraser, because that's my favorite, and I've seen multiple times. Um, Actually, that would be a good movie for us to watch on Discord. Except it's so kind of old or like underrated that it's really not anywhere of like the big streaming platforms these days. And I think they made another one with like Tom Cruise or whatever. So I think that's the one that they usually have. Um, I would put him on B tier only because he can be killed, but he does have more more strength than I guess a regular human. And usually they have some sort of like magic, or at least in the movie it did. But he is kind of like, he can be ended. Um, Predator. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie, but for my understanding, he will either be S or A for me, because isn't he like, his species is like super tech advanced or something, and he's rather difficult. He can be killed, but very difficult to kill. Let me just do a quick Google search to see if Google AI will give us like some sort of description. So he is okay. Here's what Google AI says about Predator. He's stronger than a human, capable feats of ripping through metal and concrete, throwing multiple men at once, blah blah blah. They can easily overpower a conditioned adult human and lift over 100 tons force. Okay, so durability. Their physical strength is completed by dense bones and muscle tissue, making them highly resistant to physical damage. So their armor can still be pierced by heavy weaponry. Hmm, I think I'm gonna put him in A, like with Dracula. Because again, they can both be killed, but it's a kind of like a tricky situation, like a very specific way that they could be offed. Yeah. Zombie. This one's hard because it really depends on like the type of zombies, doesn't it? Like some some zombies might be stronger than others, or like if they're like like completely like mindless zombies. Um, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe B tier as well because I feel like um again they can be killed. They are a little bit stronger than. Wait, are they? Are they stronger than human? All I can think about is Plant versus Zombies, and that is not a good thing to look into. I want to put zombies in like D tier though. Yeah, it depends on the lore. I don't know. I'll have him. I'll have zombie keep Invisible Man company because I feel like he can be killed relatively easy. They're just kind of gross looking. Okay, the last one is the swamp monster. So, where do we put Swampy? I imagine he's very good in water, probably stronger than a human. S tier for looks? No, that could be another one. Do another tier based on swag. Mm, okay, here is. Oh, oh no. So based because this technically supposed to be the swamp monster from like Black Lagoon. So he technically is a gill man. That's his name. So he does have superhuman strength. Um okay, okay. The strength combined with a thick, scaly hide and a fast healing factor may allow him to survive injuries that would be fatal to a human. And he does have advantage in water. So I will say A. Not for looks, but because again, he can be killed, but he does have a little bit more. I feel like he has a bit more advantages than some of these other ones in B tier. Wait, what's wait? Well, what's it? Shall we do another one? Wait, wait. I was thinking, I was like, oh, I really want to do another stream so I can finish these. Let's see. Let me see my schedule. So this weekend I won't be able to do it because I have the con. Um. Oh, okay. Check this out. You know what? I'll stream next week. Uh, and then we can finish some of the scary stories that I didn't get to finish reading today because I feel like they were like very interesting. I really like them. And then we can do the other tier list. Uh, I'll be streaming this on the 8th, so it will be next Saturday. It will either be next Thursday or next Saturday. Not sure. One of the two. Oh, hello, hello. Welcome in. um, we just finished reading Classic Monsters. I'm gonna save this and post it online at one point, hopefully soon. um, but yeah, I think that's the plan. I will let's get back to this. I will live stream either on Thursday um or Saturday, and then we can do the other tier list, and we can finish reading some of the other scary stories that we didn't get finished today. I don't know. We might be doing some art or whatever. I really so I have my brother actually has a very sort of like good narrator's voice, and I actually wanted him to read the stories, but unfortunately he has a job, so he couldn't do it today, which sucks. So I had to read them. I feel like my voice is so like high pitch and like a little kid's voice, and I'm like I don't even know if it's actually like scary when I read them or like more like spooky. um but yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. If you it was very scuffed today, but we did it. I was actually surprised of how spooky the environment got once I turned the light off. I thought it was gonna be too dark or like my eyes were gonna hurt, but it was actually pretty good. So I did enjoy that, and I love the stories a lot more than I thought. I really wanted to like just keep going. And yes, strength eight is spell in my own unique way because why isn't it correcting me? Oh, there it is. Okay, now I fixed it. Thank you for letting me know because it would have stayed like that. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so I do really did like the stories. I feel like they were creepier. I enjoyed the scary stories from like around the world, but they were because they were not told in like first person point of view kind of thing. They were not as scary. Should we read a couple more? No, no. I need to go eat food. Ah, yeah. Or should I? Should I eat food? Wait a minute. No, my brother's at work. Man, this sucks. I wonder if there's a program that's like speech. You know what we can do actually later? What might be interested in doing this is because I think this is something uh that the pack you recommended before. You recommended that we listen to like spooky stories. I want to do a lot more. So this weekend, over this past weekend, I did a lot of like painting and art, and I loved it. I think it was great, sort of like self care for me to just sort of like do something fun, just kind of have something playing in the background. So I would like to listen to like maybe like a scary story or two, from like a YouTube video or something or a podcast. Do you guys have any recommendations of like scary podcast or videos? Uh, you can probably let me know like Discord or any of our socials. Like just send me a DM of any recommendations that you may have. Because I think that'll be super cool for us to listen. I like true crime. But the podcast that I listen to, the reason why I really like it is because they really go over like the psychology of sort of how the person grew up, like the serial killer sort of like grew up, and a lot of that. And I I just I just feel like I don't really want to be like super extra sad for something. So having like just something that's kind of like a quick story, right? Where you're not like too attached to the people, too many characters, because the only one I'll be like really sad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Send me recommendations for the scary podcast, or you can write it in the comments if you're watching this afterwards. And then I'll check them out and choose one and see what we can do. Because it is, I forgot how much fun I've had like just listening to stories, scary stories. And these stories were not like as creepy as I thought. And also, it's morning, so I'm not as scared, and that helps. um yeah, so if you made it to the end of today, or to or stream today, don't forget to subscribe. I try to stream at least once or twice a week, really depending on my schedule. And I try to do either some sort of like self care activity. I always talk about mental health because that's what I love. So I usually just end up somehow tying in mental health to what we do. Uh, Next year we'll be doing a lot more specific things for like the live streams, but they take a lot of like work and preparation, so we're kind of take the next few months to get prepared for that. But for now it's going to be just sort of like fun streams, things that just kind of hang out, read some stories, do some art, things like that. Ba, 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 ba. Oh yeah, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you can. I think I don't know if it's at the end of this. Well, today is the end of this month. I don't know if it's gonna be at the end of this month or like maybe next month. But we are probably going to not stream on YouTube anymore. We tend to not get as many views on YouTube, and because it's really complicated to be able to do the both like setups, and my computer is like just a regular office computer kind of, so it's not very powerful to be able to run several programs at the same time. So we're just going to focus on streaming on Twitch. So you want to see things live, you want to talk to us, you want to give recommendations or your thoughts and opinions, come and check us out on Twitch. um all of the money that we make from any subscription, I think we are able to get subscriptions now. But anyway, all of that is just funding for the nonprofit, and none of it comes to me. Well, technically, it does come to me because I'm the one that deals with the money, but it's not my money. It goes back to doing stuff for the nonprofit. And we do have some really cute emotes. Um, nah, I'm kind of tired. What am I thinking? I I should probably do this like spiel in like a few sentences. So I just repeat the same spiel over and over again. But I forgot to keep. I forget. I keep forgetting to write it. So now there's gonna be a lot of. Mm, yes. So Twitch does save the old episodes, not for as long as we want them to. It's, I think it's usually about 7 days that it saves them for. But we're gonna download them from Twitch and then upload them on YouTube. So they're gonna be available on YouTube like a few weeks afterwards, or like later in the day or whatever, as depending on like how available we are to like edit and stuff like that. But yeah, but the live stream will primarily be on Twitch. So yeah, if you want to subscribe to our Twitch channel, if you do have a Prime, I think that's something that's one way that you can support us. If you have Amazon Prime, you can connect it to your Twitch account, and every month you have a free subscription. You can subscribe to us, and again, it's free to you, and the money will come to us. So that's one way you can just kind of hang out, kind of visit again. Subscribe, that way you know when we're going live, because unfortunately I have ADHD and I have a very packed schedule that changes quite often. So I don't have like specific days. I try to like stream on specific days, but it doesn't always happen. So it is, I think it's best if you like subscribe, that way you can get like our messages, or you can join us on our Discord as well. Our apologies for not being able to do the Guillermo del Toro, what is it, panel today, or the horror, the psychological horror thing. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I was like over here being like, okay, we're ending for today, blah, blah, blah. No, we are not. There is still one more thing I wanted to do with you guys. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. So we I forgot about it. So um so what I'm gonna do, we actually got somebody uh, shared an article on why we are so drawn to scary content. Like I said, this is in my area of expertise because I am chicken and I don't like scary things. So this isn't something that I have looked into. So I wanted to have other people that have more experience to come and talk to us, and that was not possible. So I'm going to read this article with you guys, and then I'm going to sort of like share my thoughts. My sort of, I was going to say immature, but it's not immature. Amateur, that's the word. My amateurish thoughts on the content. Like, I know a lot of like mental health stuff, that's my field, but specifically for like the being scared or scary, I only have limited information on that. Okay, I needed to go to Twitch to delete another comment. Pa-pa-pa-pam. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got rated. Oh, that's what it was. That's why we had so many people. Well, thank you so much. I think we got rated by the woman of gaming. Hello, hello. I know you guys participated in our um Marvel Revival stream. So thank you, charity fundraiser. So thank you so much for joining us today and for participating in a fundraiser. um yeah, yeah, yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. So I'm using StreamYard, which is great because it makes it easier for us, for me in particular, because I'm not a very tech person. And sometimes my brother explains things and it's just like I hear the words, but my brain does not compute any of it. It just immediately like goes to sleep and I'm like I just can't. So it makes it easy for me to be able to stream both on YouTube and Twitch. But now I have to really make an effort to learn how to stream better on Twitch so then I can see the rates, because I don't get messages when I'm only looking at StreamYard. So again, thank you so much, and sorry that it took so long for uh for b- 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 for me to acknowledge the raid. But thank you so much. We are reading, I think this is, well, oh wow. This came out like just 2 weeks ago or something like that. I had it like all big and huge right here, but I don't want to be moving my head too much. Okay. It says every fall. So this is from the Newport Healthcare. It's an article that came out in uh, the 19th of October. So again, like a few days ago. Okay, so every fall, millions of people willingly sign up to be scared. Yes. Some will guide their gaming controller down to foggy monster-strewn streets of Japan in Silent Hill F. And others would join Clarice Starling in solving the gruesome wrongful acts of a serial killer. Or visitors to a corn maze might end up trapped in a dead end with a chainsaw roaring menacingly nearby when we encounter when when we encounter scary content. Our heart races and our palm sweats, and many of us love it. Why do we chase down the threat, gore, and unknown that we would never want to encounter in real life? Uh, for many, experiencing fear in a controlled way can be feel exhilarating, even calming. From the buildup of a horror film score to the perfectly timed jump scare in a haunted house, fear can be satisfying when it comes with a safety net. That is often what I hear people talk about when it comes to like the reason why they watch scary movies, because they have that control, right? I often hear, or something that I've noticed is that people who have experienced a lot of trauma in their life tend to um be more or like super fans, or seek this sort of like thrill, like being scared. Because again, like I can turn off the TV, I can turn off the radio, or like the radio who listens to radio these days, or like Spotify, whatever like podcast you're listening to, and that gives me control. Where like when we go through traumatic experiences, we don't often have control. We have very little or none at all control over what is happening. So okay, so this article is trying to just break down what happens inside our brain when we get scared, and why some of us keep coming back for more. I think for me, because I do like psychological horror, not ghosts because that's very scary to me, but I do like scary stories, but I'm more into the story itself than the horror aspect of it, because I do get scared. What about you guys? Why do you like horror, if you like horror? Let me go back to this one. So this is what happens to the brain when we feel fear. When we encounter something frightening, whether it's navigating a haunted corn maze by flashlight or jump scare, it reacts the same. Oh, I did hear this, that if you're reading a book or you're watching a movie, your brain interprets it like it's happening to you. That's why we get so attached to characters, and especially when they die. Or that's why we get like so scared, because it our brain is sort of like thinking that it's happening to us. The amygdala receives the threat and sound the alarm to the hypothalamus, which releases the stress hormone. From here, the sympathetic nervous system is activated, causing a series of reactions that can lead to fight, flight, or freeze response. This search is automatic and ancient, designed to help us stay safe and survive. So, what makes people seek out scary things? The key is that ultimately it's not real, right? You like being creeped out. Well, I like stories, I don't know if I want to be like really really scared. Or maybe now I tend to. I just remember when I was like younger, I used to listen to like my parents talk about. No, that's a lie. I was gonna be like, oh, maybe because I'm older now and I'm more analytical about certain things. No, 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 that's a lie. Because I remember earlier this year, I went to visit my family in Mexico, and we were driving like in Mexico, or at least the part where my parents live. The road is very much like there is no shoulder to the roads. It's just a bunch of nature, like bushes and trees and stuff like that. So like you just kind of look to your side and it's like bam, tree right there, right? So like there's like you can't see, it's not as open as the roads are usually here. um and we also like the place where my parents are from, it's very much like in the mountains, so everywhere you travel you're going through mountains, so there's like a lot of trees, a lot of vegetation. And it was dark, it was at night, and they were talking about like these scary things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am scared. I am scared. So no, I'm still a scaredy cat. My age had nothing to do with it. Okay, finding safety in the scare. So experts have looked at why a frightening experience can actually be enjoyable, and is based on these three aspects: safety, detachment, and control. So for safety, we know we are physically secure, right? Like it's not really happening to us. Whatever is happening is not real. A detachment, we are aware that wait, I just said that. um Detachment is when we're aware that we're not experiencing what we are aware that we're experiencing is fictional, and control we can turn off whatever. Yeah, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. We're like, as long as we have that control, then it's a little bit easier. So these are sort of like the protective factors that are put in place. So it becomes more, I guess, creeped out or thrilling than traumatizing for some people. I think I still get traumatized. So the fight or flight response can come with a burst of adrenaline, endorphins, and dopamine, the feel good chemicals. Aha! So this is kind of where we get to the point. So people who, especially, I was gonna say, neurodivergent individuals, especially people who are ADHD, we don't make, our brain doesn't make enough dopamine in general. So that's why we often get sort of like stuck doing things that bring us dopamine. Like we feel like a rush of it. So it's usually like drinking, drugs, alcohol, gambling, like thrill seeking, things like that are things that give us dopamine. So we seek those out a lot more as well. So yeah, so once the brain knows it's safe and we can hit the pause button anytime, we interpret this nervous system arousal as a positive experience rather than traumatic. I've also heard, I think I've read an article years ago where if you want to have somebody like you do something slightly dangerous because it kind of has this effect, right? Like this is sort of like the explanation of how that works. So you know how in like movies sometimes we see couples go through like a traumatic experience and then they fall in love. That's kind of because of this. It eventually they kind of like it gets interpreted as like relief or satisfaction, or it just becomes um like a good feel chemical, right? And also if it's like if it becomes a traumatic event, then they trauma bond, or at least they know that it is something that the other person understands what they're feeling. Anyone watched it is not a healthy way, no, no, I do not recommend this, but I was thinking more in terms of like going to like doing fun things like that bring you like a rush of dopamine. Fly. like going to Disneyland, that brings me a rush of dopamine, or like going to like roller coasters, or like, kind of like whitewater rafting, like things like that, where it's like an activity, but it brings that rush of adrenaline. It does. I'm not gonna be like go bungee jumping. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but I mean, there should be other things that you like about this person. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh wait, have you guys seen Hunger Games or heard of it or read the book? Because that is essentially what happens to the two main characters, right? Katniss and Peeta. They just sort of like end up together because they went through that traumatic experience, and they were able to understand each other a lot more than anyone else could understand them, because they both experienced the same thing. They both did it multiple times. Ah, there's a fly. That's what's scary. Fly. Um. Oh, okay. Listen. So, not everyone finds fear enjoyable. People who score higher in sensation-seeking traits tend to enjoy scary moments more, while those who are more empathetic or emotional sensitive may find it more distressing. But it's more complicated than that. Oh, that makes sense. Because this is so weird, but one time my brother was doing this campaign, like D&D campaign with his friends, and he will come. And again, I love stories. So he will come and he'd be like, anyway, so today, and then he'd tell me like what happened in the story and what they did. And it's a D&D campaign, right? It's all fictional. But then he'll be like, anyway, so something happened and we killed the whole town. And I was like, you killed the whole town? And I was sad. I was sad for this fictional town that got killed in like this D&D campaign. And I'm like, I need to like, you know, not. But yeah, anyway, it was very sad for me to hear that this fictional town got decimated. uh, this is why I can't comfortably play. Like, I would love to play a very chaotic character in D&D, but chaos also leads to potential danger, and I'm always like hyper aware of danger because I'm like, what if I hurt people? And it's a fictional game. Like, none of this is real. Step my brain is like, but I feel bad. Anyway, recent study uh, found that how much excitement and enjoyment people derive from scary media depends on how real and frightening the content feels. People who are disgusted by gruesome horror film scenes enjoy watching less, but they still feel scared and excited. Well, yeah. I mean, to me, this sounds like it depends. It's a personal thing, right? Like it depends. Like it varies from person to person. So, for example, this made me think of like that study that they did a while back, where well, there's been a bunch of them where if you are listening to your favorite music, at first they started with classical music. If you're listening to classical music, you're able to focus a little bit better, right? But then they did more research, and it turns out that if you um if you're listening to music that you enjoy, so it can be like heavy death metal, and but if you enjoy it, it will help you focus. It will not help me focus because it will be too much of a sensory thing. But again, it sort of like varies from person to person. That's why there's so many people. Well, I guess the reason why there might well part of the reason why there may be so many horror fans too is because horror is such a wide sort of like genre, right? Because you can have like body horror, you can have like more like spiritual, ghosty, religious sort of like horror. You can have psychological horror, and so it can be done in a bunch of like different ways. Even those who seek out scary experiences, there's certain threshold from enjoyment. Wait, there's a certain threshold where enjoyment starts to drop. So in one study in Denmark, wow. There's actually a lab that's called Recreational Fear Lab in Denmark. Some of you guys are interested. Researchers found that people enjoy haunted houses at the most when their fear level is moderate. Both self report surveys and heart rate data show that they have the most fun when they were just scared enough to feel excitement without feeling overwhelmed. You might call it the Goldilocks zone of fear. This is very similar to the anxiety sort of thing. You know, like a bell curve or a wave is just sort of like a like a curve. And when we are anxious, and I feel like this is very similar to, I guess, like all kinds of emotions where or to all emotions, there is a point, if we are too anxious, then it kind of turns around and it starts biting us in the butt instead of actually being helpful, because being a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous is actually helpful because it can help us sort of like get us started into doing something, right? So if I'm afraid of failing the test, I'll just study for it so I don't do that. If I'm afraid of um, eating something potentially dangerous, then I'll be more aware of what I'm consuming. If I'm afraid of uh, somebody hurting me, then I'll take precaution for that, right? So that's kind of like, I think earlier in the article they said that this is like a fear is like an innate thing that all humans have, is something that has allowed us to survive, and it's one of like the first emotions. Think of like Inside Out. Like the first emotions, like fear is one of them, right? Like we just feel fear um from birth. Okay, there's still a little bit more research that needs to be done when it comes to fear. So they're just saying that, there's more to be done. Oh, so here are 4 ways that fear can help us. This is interesting. Fear, feeling afraid can make us stronger in a mindful way. Emerging research shows that fear can build resilience, deepen relationships, and process complex emotions. Oh my gosh, I know mental health. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's just I was relating to a different something, not necessarily fear. How's Here's how fear in a controlled environment can be surprisingly good for us. So, number one, control fear builds emotional resilience. When the world was gripped by uncertainty during COVID, horror fans reported higher resilience than non-horror seekers. That a study found that people who frequently consumed scary content during the time showed a greater ability to regulate their emotions. Uh, Again, kind of going back to what I was talking about, like people who have PTSD or experience very traumatic events, they're able to, or they enjoy horror. Partially is because of that control, right? It's like something that they're able to sort of overcome, and also for people who are very anxious. Um, Sometimes we thrive in environments where there's a lot going on and it's very high pace because we're used to functioning that way because of our anxiety. And not this is not necessarily a good thing. It can be very it's sort of like a double-edged sword, but people who are very comfortable in like chaos and sort of like dangerous situations, they are like that because um or potentially there can be a lot of different reasons, but they're able to regulate their emotions because probably have some very negative experiences where while they were sort of like growing up, and then so it makes life and death experiences um something they're able to manage a lot easier, because someone who is not necessarily a horror fan most likely will feel very overwhelmed by things, so they're not able to manage it, right? So kind of the explanation earlier was like if you're very empathetic, you may not um like horror as much because you can just feel like the emotions of people and it becomes overwhelming to you, right? But if you that doesn't mean that people who are like horror fans are not like they have no empathy or whatever. It just means that they have been able to manage the emotion or the sense of fear. But they're still very I mean, that's what I've heard as well, that people who are like horror fans, they're usually very, very kind individuals. Um, and it builds emotional resilience, and I think also because oh, I'm just gonna read it. It's the same thing I was gonna say. That's because horror-based content often offers a way to practice fear by noticing our fear, writing the search fear, and then feeling relief. We strengthen our ability to cope with everyday stressors. And if we never have to live through a flock attacking our town like the birds, these mini fear workouts may train us to stay emotionally steady, uh, when life throws a very real challenge our way. So I have an example actually of my real life. Um, I I'm afraid of spiders. I've always been afraid of spiders since I was like 8, and not a fear I'm particularly interested in overcoming, to be honest. So because I can always just scream for my dad or my brother or someone nearby, kind of run away from spiders. But I started playing video games a few years ago, and one of the games that I played on my Switch was uh Lego Fortnite. Oh my gosh, this fly is so annoying. Um anyway, and there's like a spider creature in there that kind of like when you go into like the tall grass, it kind of like bites you. And because I'm not used to playing video games in general, I'm like not really a gamer. I'm more like a or the games that I play are more like puzzle like. There isn't much of like fighting in there. I would get very, very anxious, and then I would just immediately die to the spider. And then eventually I learned that hey, I can actually kill the spider. And I started being less afraid because I would like the first few times pretend this is my Switch. The first few times that I like play the game, I was like, ah! And then I almost wanted to throw the thing because it was a spider. I was like, I don't like spiders. But then after playing it enough times, I was able to sort of like regulate it. So then, yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of therapists that are using like VR to do like treatment for like anxiety and stuff like that. So yeah, this checks out. I approve. Not an expert, but it sounds like it is good. um, number two, fear brings people together. Whether it's visiting a haunted attraction or jumping online to play Phasmophobia, a scary experience are often shared. It's called emotional synchrony. When we scream, laugh, or recover together, we are deepening our relationships. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? That one scene in what's that movie? It takes place in like Norway or something. Oh no, wait, but you actually anybody seen man, I can never remember names. That one show where like the world goes to hell in a handbasket and like women lose all their rights. What's it called? Jeez. Um they're all like wearing like Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, thank you very much. That's the one. I think I couldn't get through like the first two episodes. It was just so sad. um, and but there is a thing where like the main character is talking about how when the handmaid is like giving birth or whatever, the wife of the guy is like nearby crying, like she's also giving birth, kind of thing. I think this is kind of like that's sort of like an example of like emotional synchrony, like right, like if I start crying, you'll start crying, then we'll both like be sad. um, s- so okay, so When we scream, cry, or laugh, and recover together, we deepen our relationships. Those few good hormones that are related even lead some people to feel like they're falling in love. Cue the creation of a new dating show, perhaps Horror Island. No, 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 no. It's okay. No, we don't need that. No, I think we're fine. I don't think that's a good idea because so earlier, the pact you were saying that it doesn't sound very healthy. It wouldn't be. Like if a relationship comes out of this, it will either be something like because we share trauma and we understand, or like this is how we got to know each other kind of thing. But it can lead to a lot of like unhealthy sort of like relationships. So it's probably not a good idea to do that. Um. So this group experiences a flight or flight is fueling online communities. Twitch streamer Sammy, a self-described queer horror streamer, has built a devoted following for more than 20,000 fans. It's brought us a lot of us together. Sammy told the BBC, "We can have amazing conversations. It's almost like a little book club. Horror connects people through shared emotion, feeling fear into belonging. This can be especially important for marginalized communities who don't always have a safe space. We're wired to seek safety in others, and sometimes that means getting startled together in a gaming stream." Yeah, I mean that's a reason why a lot of us find um geek culture to be sort of like a safe space, because we didn't feel like we fit in like other areas or other groups. Number three, horror as a safe space to explore the unknown. Stories filled with gore, killers, and paranormal allows us to explore uncomfortable topics in a more symbolic form. Scary content can often offer a glimpse into the taboo and unknown without direct exposure, particularly when it's something terrifying that really happened. Whether you're watching a true story of Ted Bundy in extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile, or a mysterious true crime tale unraveling in serial, you often experience the question of why people do horrifying things. You can fulfill your curiosity about human behavior and motivation while remaining in a safe distance. I do something kind of similar like to this when I have clients who are not ready to talk about their traumatic experiences. We can talk about a fictional character that they relate to. And then, whilst we're talking about how they relate to that character, it kind of comes out that they're like, oh, well, because they were so strong and they experienced this one thing, and so did I. But we're talking about like a different person, right? And so it's something outside of ourselves that makes it a little bit easier for us to process. And number four, this is the fourth one, mental rehearsal for real world threats. While you're unlikely to be trapped in an abandoned prison surrounded by zombies, like in The Walking Dead, you may learn from the action that characters take in those dire situations. Some theories suggest that horror can be a type of simulation training, watching characters navigate high stakes scenarios, encouraging us to review series of what if scenarios that help us to respond thoughtfully to threats around us. You know what this reminded me of? So yesterday I was watching some of my favorite streamers. They were playing. I don't know the game where like it's an RV game. I think it's the RV game where you just drive in an RV and you have to figure out how to like go through like the very difficult terrain. And there's so much like that you have to know, like the fixes and how to prepare and how to like do things. So I mean, video games teach us a lot. TV teaches a lot. This is why I get so upset sometimes. I don't think I've heard this as much often as an adult, maybe because of the people I'm hanging out with, which is other geeks that tend to think the same as me. But growing up, I heard a lot of people talk about how like you can't learn anything from TV, and I'm like, what do you mean? I learned a lot from watching anime. So there's a lot we can learn from TV, and um, this is something that I usually recommend as well to people who are very like struggling to like make friends or conversate like make conversation or behave in a specific scenario, and be like, just pretend to be like that character that you admire, right? This is partially why a lot of people really like cosplaying, because it's like they can take on this sort of like persona that it's sort of difficult for them to feel on the day to day. And also you're like dressed like super cool, so you know it's cool. It makes you feel cool because you're dressed cool. um so evolutionary, this makes sense. Throughout human history, people who are more prepared for dangerous threats are more likely are were likely better equipped to handle real dangers. Even no wonder that part of the horror experience involves imagining how you would have dealt with the situation. Would you have been the one to take the life saving shot of the scuba tank in Jaws to end it all? Or would you be stumbling when they are being chased by a killer and doesn't bother to get up? That would be me. I'd be like, mm-mm. I just, it hurts to run. I'm not very fit at all. Just end it, bro. I was like, I don't, especially if it's like an apocalyptic world. I'm like, I don't think I could survive without the comforts, man. I love history a lot, and sometimes I will say things like, "Oh, I wish I was born in like a different era or whatever because it was so cool in history." And I was like, "Wait a minute, they wouldn't really have toilets back in the day. They wouldn't have all these things, air conditioning." And I'm like, I don't think I could survive, man. I could probably get used to it, but I don't know. I would rather not. I am thankful I was born in this era. Um. So yeah. Okay, here's some of the risks. So we saw how it can be something helpful. So it's because it control fear builds emotional resilience. It can bring people together. It's a safe space to explore the unknown, and it was a rehearsal for real world threats. This is kind of why we do the role playing in therapy, because it's just practice for when it actually happens. But here is how there may be some risk if it becomes too scary. Not everyone's into scary content, and for some, it actually be harmful. Here are some ways in which frightening content can threaten well being: rumination and sleep disturbances. Scared to sleep at night. Yes, that's me. The I can't sleep feeling after horror movies isn't just in your head, because scary media triggers a real stress response and adrenaline flow. Your body and your brain stays alert even after the credits roll. And for horror games, the blue light, social interaction, and highly stimulation activity make it much easier to keep playing them deep into the night. The course of it all is that the next day you'll be feeling sluggish and be more prone to mood swings. Yes. This is one of the things I recommend for people whenever I talk to parents, especially about like kids playing video games and whatnot. And I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. Like, but there has to be boundaries, right? Like, you can't like spend all your free time playing video games and not take care of yourself or like take care of any other like IRL problems. Not not good. Ooh, developmental considerations. Kids don't experience fear like adults do. Some younger kids may struggle to distinguish reality from movie magic and making strange things. Some like completely real dangers. A 6-year-old might believe that alien from science will walk up to their birthday party, while a teen might relish the jump scare and laugh about it afterwards. I mean, it's all appropriate, like age appropriate, right? Before you, yeah, okay, that's it. Anxiety and trauma. For example, people with anxiety or trauma, scary content can be a threat, while for others, it can be triggering. Some people might ruminate on a distressing scene, or the scare itself can trigger negative feelings that are way too real. But for others, horror can act as a type of recreational exposure therapy. Oh, this was what I was talking about earlier, where like a lot of people who experience trauma are like, sort of like can overcome this. It gives them the chance to face fear in a controlled way, and sometimes can help them build emotional skills and manage it in real life. The fly is so annoying. I can't. Go away, leave me alone. But the line between having fun and conquering fear and feeling distress is deeply personal. For anyone, scary content should be managed based on how it makes you feel and how much of it you feel like you can pause or stop. How to engage in scary content in a healthy way. Choose your comfort zone. If you're new to horror thrillers and other scary content, stay small. Start small. I did. I started small. I started by reading short, short scary stories online. So, and I actually got hooked because they're so interesting. You guys, I saw so many of them. Yep. Maybe a book would be a good test, or watching an eerie video at home rather than a graphic horror movie in a theater. For big fans, keep a no-go list in mind and respect how your body feels rather than pushing yourself. Yeah, just again, just sort of like know your limits, right? Like there's a lot of people. There's one of the streamers that I love to watch. They're like, they love horror, but they don't like body horror in particular, so they sort of avoid watching things like that. Watch with others. Share experience helps regulate fear and makes it more fun. Having trusted friends and family close by helps minimize the fright and maximize the enjoyment. Keep control at hand. If you're playing a heart pumping game with friends, remind yourself that you can quit at any time. Or if you're watching a scary movie in a theater, sit by the exit. Consuming scary content at home allows for more control compared to walking through a haunted house, and so be sure you are ready. Cool, 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 cool. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Add a cooldown. Oh, wait a minute. So this is actually something that I recommend as well for anxiety or any sort of like if you're feeling very overwhelmed. If you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is something I guess I have to practice as well because yesterday my therapist was like, "You need to step out of your comfort zone," and I was like, "All right, I guess I have to." Anyway, um, being able to like if you're socially anxious about a party or like going to like a crowded area, make sure that you have a way out. Don't take a ride with someone. uh Bring your own car, that way you can leave and you don't have to sort of like wait for anybody. It's kind of like people are like, hey, you're meeting someone new for the first time, online dating or whatever, meet at a crowded place, like somewhere where you can reach out for help if you need to. Okay, the other one is add a cool down. Watching something light or having a good laugh after a scare is a good way to transition to a calmer state, especially if it's before bed. Read a light book or do some self care routines to shift your thoughts and reduce the chance that you'll continue into your dreams or cause sleep disturbances. So I have a story about this actually. So I ended up watching part of the reason we were supposed to discuss um what is it, Guillermo del Toro movies, and it was supposed to be Pan's Labyrinth and Crimson Peak, and we're discussing Crimson Peak because it's not only spooky, scary, psychologically, but also it's one of my favorite movies because Tom Hiddleston's in it, and Tom Hiddleston is one of my favorite actors. And so I went to theaters to watch it with my friend, and I knew it was going to be a ghost, and I was going to be scared. And I was like, I hope I can sleep tonight. But I was so sad at the end of the movie because of what happened to Tom Hiddleston's character that I didn't even think about the ghost, which they are very creepy actually. It's a very creepy movie, but I was just so concerned about his character. I care about the ghost. So yeah. I mean that's kind of like what happens too sometimes when we experience like a traumatic event, right? Like scary things are happening, but you're like so focused on like helping other people that it becomes a little bit easier for you to ignore certain things and sort of like be able to move on. However, it's also very important for us to be able to then go back and process those scary things because otherwise they come back out eventually. All right. Avoid when emotionally vulnerable. If you're already feeling anxious, depressed, or emotionally drained, it's best to skip the scares altogether. I earlier I was talking about how I really like this one podcast that is like true crime. But I have been very sensitive lately because I am a little toasty on my way to burnout. So I'm taking a lot of steps to prevent full on burnout. um but because I'm like a little like emotionally like too emotionally invested sometimes, um I avoid certain things that I know are going to make my vulnerability worse, right? Or like my anxiety or whatever it is. Oh, look at this. It kind of reinforces what I said. Reflect afterwards, right? Notice what scared you the most. Does it feel like too much or did it open up a new fear? If you feel worse about consuming horror-based content and activities, that's a good sign. But if it's not your thing, then at least now you know. Your reaction to scary content may change over time depending on your stage of life, circumstances, and recent events. Yeah, that is pretty much it. It's actually very, very interesting. I find that very fascinating how in psychology a lot of things are sort of like, oh, the fly! Ah, just go away! Ah. So anyway, I find it fascinating how in psychology we have, like, as long as you know really well the basic concepts of like understanding how emotions work, how people tend to react to them, how previous trauma sort of impacts us, then it can be generalized into like a lot of different things. I mean, obviously that's why we still have research, uh, because we want to be able to confirm and make sure that our theories or ideas are still sort of like valid. Uh, but yeah, sometimes I surprise myself, like today, where I was like talking about all these things that I learned before, but I learned them in terms of like depression or anxiety or whatever. But it's very similar to fear because again, it's just another emotion. But yeah, that is something that I wanted to go over with you guys. Uh, okay, real quick summary of everything today. If you didn't get a chance to check out the scary stories, because you came in a bit later, you can always watch the VOD. It will be available on YouTube and Twitch. Again, I highly recommend you guys subscribe to us. I try to um, stream once or twice a week, but I don't have a set schedule, so it might be good for you to subscribe so then you can know when we are going live. And this channel, any funds that come into this channel, whether it is by, well, I think right now we're only able to do subscriptions, but any subscriptions that we get are they go towards Psychology for Geeks, the nonprofit. So like I said earlier before, you can either follow, you can subscribe. If you have an Amazon account, you can connect it to your Twitch, and then you can subscribe to us like every month. They give you like a free subscription. So that's an easy way for you to do it. If you're not able to do that at this time, no worries. Just coming out to hang with us and have fun. It is important. You can join our online community, make suggestions. We're always open to suggestions, to collaborations and stuff like that. It's just it might take a little bit for us to do something because we are a small nonprofit organization still. We are not fully funded. We started with absolutely zero money, so we are just, doing the best that we can. If you live in the California Central Valley, we are going to have a lot of events coming up in November. So check out our website for that. If you are not in California or near the Central Valley, we're rather not travel for any of our events, worry not. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can check out our live streams. You can check out the things that we do on Discord, because all that provide information on mental health and how to do self-care and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. And I totally this was so interesting. I totally forgot I was hungry, but now I'm remembering again. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you guys our next stream. as well, or around in the community. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to reframe and re-enchant your life. Bye.